Detroit destroyed the Jaguars, I texted Mark. I said, move heaven and earth to convince Ben Johnson to take this job if it becomes available. Talked on the phone together, and he said, look, Ben Johnson wants that job.
A lot of people think that I'm a bear because I'm fat and I have a beard and I'm sexy, but I'm not a bear. I'm a damn raider. It's like a pirate. And I have an eye patch sometimes because of a bad BJ.
I think he's obviously excited for the opportunity. We got our boy Caleb over there, who's talented. They got some good players over there. So Swift is over there. So they got a pretty good team. I told him, I said, for 2 times a year, Ben, we're gonna fuck you up. He goes, I'm gonna fuck you up. I said, okay, we'll see.
But I think there's a reason Ben Johnson went there, and that's to work with Caleb. And I want to push back on some of the narrative about, oh, it's not a great fit because of how like throwing on time and everything. And I still am frustrated with some of the discussions with Caleb. And I feel like everyone's kind of making him out to be some wild horse that you can't keep in the pocket because he's going into creation mode every play. And it couldn't be more opposite of how he actually plays. He tries to be too perfect and tries to be like, no, I'm getting to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And again, this is why I'm optimistic and bullish on Caleb Williams. I had him rated highly in the draft. I have not lost that. I wrote about him midseason, was really liking what I saw.
Here to the right. Yep. Pat, the designer, ESPN 1000.
Is having a quarterback, because there are some other teams that don't necessarily have their franchise guy. How heavy did that weigh specific to this opportunity for you?
Having a quarterback helps.
Breaking news.
The Tape Never Lies Network.
The tape never lies. Tape never lies.
Starts now.
The tape never lies.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
So chase greatness and start understanding that he's gonna make everybody better.
The tape never lies.
I don't want to see your tape breakdowns if you cannot show me things that are negative about a guy that's on your current team.
Hashtag chase greatness. Hashtag take that.
Keep it 100.
Because I'll make this one more time clear. Caden Whitlow, cut it. He is the best quarterback I have ever scouted on tape.
The Chicago Bears select.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man at Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keep it in 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the fake and anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters. But now they're moused up like the true and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sack strolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shane.
Give me some fucking names. We have 2 fucking games.
Talk a play or a captain, all of the up there. The tape never lies. The truth, you see, we laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a stat nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like trip sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keep it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keep it 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Keeping It 100 on the best four-letter network on the planet. The tape never lies. I'm Ivan Vargas. Before we get started and bring the boys in, happy joy. We got the guy that we wanted. I honestly, like I said, it is something that we all didn't expect, but I'm glad that happened. Something got woken up at Hallis Hall, or McCaskey Hall, whatever you want to call it, but I'm happy it did. Before we get started, like, share, and subscribe. Become a patron today at thetapeneverlies.com. Without further ado, let's bring in the boys. DDP, Draft Dr. Phil, and the smartest man, Shane Marshall.
Yo.
There he is, sparking it up. Ivan Vargas.
We're back.
The Chicago Bears. They did some things today.
They did.
There's so much.
Some things that seems like we, same place, same spot every 2 or 3 years for the past, 12 years or so, right? But today felt a little bit different. I'll say that.
Yeah, it felt a lot different. You did a great job covering the presser this afternoon. And talking over it just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Letting it ride.
Still not feeling the best, but yeah, that's why I told everybody. I said, if you guys that hate TTNL because we talk over top of pressers, this is the show for you today. Because there wasn't going to be much talking.
That's where they got to go. There's so much information out there today. I had someone call me from, promised I wouldn't use their name, but they have a show. And they were like, you know what? You guys were right about 90% of this. About the coaching, the culture, what needed to be done, the offensive line issues.
Thanks, Craig.
The quarterback, the chaos the quarterback was surrounded in, the fact that this prospect and all of those prospects wanted to be a part of the Bears, not because of the McCaskeys or Kevin Warren, but because of the Matrix, Caleb Williams. Listen, I appreciate it. It's hard to stand at the forefront, and it's not hard. It's just, it's filled with a litter amount. I'm trying to use the word correctly here. There's just so much chaos in front of us trying to tear us down all the time when we're just going by the tape and truth. Now, Shane has his ability and I have my ability, and we put it together and you win championships like that. And if the Chicago Bears would just listen, which they have, they would understand it's about getting the culture right. The X's and O's, all of that stuff will come through. The talent is there. The coach wasn't. Felt like they didn't answer enough of that prior to today. But today, in their celebration and all of the recognition of what it is that Ben brought to the table, showed a lot of the mistakes and the past mistakes, the uncomfortable conversations that must have been had at Hallis Hall with George. Number one. with Kevin and Ryan, number 2. So now they're here on the precipice of a guy like, I don't know what Ben Johnson's going to be. I heard everything I want to hear. I'm a big believer in press conferences. The showcase, I feel like it's an interview for the fans, and it's a showcase of who you are. I like that. I don't think I've ever saw a better press conference in regards to a coach standing up at the podium and saying who he is in front of the world. Honestly, I have not in my lifetime watching the Bears seen a head coach be as authentic, didn't jump into coach speak, kept it honest. I mean, we can, and then there's like 15 other interviews that he did with Waddle and Sylvie.
Yeah, you back up just a little bit to Matt Eberflus's opening presser. It literally kicked off with a cringeworthy moment.
Correct.
They introduced him. He walks up to the podium and he's like, "What? No applause?" Like the fucking media was going to give him a standing ovation. I mean, the people that are there to critique you from head to toe for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. I mean, it didn't start off well.
It didn't. And everybody was if we look back at that, everybody was in the process of like, who is this guy? Nobody's in that process. Nobody's in that process of who is this guy. He is, later, and I believe it's with Waddle and Sylvie talking to Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren lets the cat out of the bag. He was our number 1A and 1B.
Well, he not only let
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, and he compared it to the Caleb Williams draft.
100%. He then compares it in recognition of Ryan Poles. He lets that cannon loose and shoots that off, saying, "Hey, it's comparable to how we felt with the number 1 pick and how Ryan handled that. We knew what we were doing there. Felt like the same here. He was our number 1A and our number 1B, 100%. So this is the mark. Shane and I have never wavered on the process. The process needed to be the wide net. It needed to be, because you have to uncover every stone to find the right guy that's going to stand in front of the locker room, not only address this past team, but you have to have the right person that's going to address the real issues that start up at top. And from everything I've gathered in this press conference and the showcase of who Ben Johnson is as a coach, said he wanted this job if I was going to be able to work and have a hand in the personnel decisions. Now, he's not trying to be like the king, Jaffe over here, demanding everything, but he needs to be a part of this process of who he wants on the field, who he wants to fit his scheme and his philosophy and this team and how its culture is going to be built. Everyone's going to take away the big quote, which I obviously think is great. You're going to have to learn to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. Now, my son wanted to know what that meant, and I will just define it in coach speak for everybody. Michael Jordan worked his ass off, right? So did Walter Payton. They did it when no one was looking and when everyone was looking. It was the same consistent drive. It wasn't easy. In fact, You might miss a few meals. You might be tired as shit, but you're going through it. Whether it be working on the tape or working in the gym. It's uncomfortable. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. So putting his team on notice that you're going to have to live in that kind of work is a coach telling you this shit's about to change. So you better get ready. It isn't, what was Matt Eberflus's? We thought he was going to follow this transition. What was his quote? We're going to play fast. Get your track shoes on. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Get your track shoes on. Get your track shoes ready. And none of it came to fruition. It's just a showcase of where things are different. I felt really confident in who he was as a young coach. I think the setbacks and the growth through the avenue, he didn't have a dad. He didn't have a great football career. He didn't know somebody. He just worked his ass off. And I tip my hat to that as you come through the chain to work your way all the way up to getting what should be the most iconic coaching position in all of football, but the McCaskies have completely destroyed it. Like, they're not going to get off the hook here because George has a few jokes about Joe Buck. I also really like the fact that the players showed up. DJ Moore flew in on vacation. Caleb flew in from California. And there's sheer excitement about it.
I think he was on the set of the new Matrix movie. That's why Alan Bratcher was so excited.
I thought of Alan when I saw him. I was like, hey, he dressed up for the occasion.
He did.
But everywhere he spoke, I watched every interview. I just wanted to see if there was any what I call Orlovskying. Was there any flip-flopping? Was there any manipulation of truth like Dan does? And oh, by the way, Shane Marsaw tweet of the year so far.
I had to mute that. It was going a little bit bonkers on X.
Dan Orlovsky is available for the Jags job. He knows everything. Might as well hire him.
Hilarious.
Great tweet. It made my day, to be honest. But, Shane, I really enjoyed the sight of somebody confidently, not arrogantly, but confidently standing up there, knowing what he wants to do and the direction that he wants to go. Now, how he puts this staff together is going to be very critical because a lot of hype goes like day one. He's putting together an all-star staff. There's no staff yet.
Well, I didn't know this. Actually, Jared Perry sent me a DM asking me about it, and I wasn't aware of it. The Rooney Rule is also in effect now for coordinators.
You're kidding me.
No, and I was not aware of that. So.
Good on Jared. I didn't know.
And they are bringing in, they have requested Rams assistant head coach and passing game coordinator Aubrey Pleasant.
Yeah, Pleasant has coached on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, for the DC job.
For the DC gig. And he would meet.
Wasn't he the cornerbacks coach? Or
he was.
Yeah, DB for the Lions, if I'm not mistaken.
He was a cornerback, defensive back. They specialize there, safeties and corners, and then they have a position coach. But he was.
They didn't hire him. With him, they would be Rooney Rule.
Is it the same kind of?
I think
two coaches,
just one for coordinators. But I think.
But those count virtually.
Right. Virtuals count, right. And I wasn't aware of that, so thank you for Jared making me aware of that. And the like I said, that would make them compliant. And my best assumption would be then you would see Dennis Allen take the defensive coordinator job.
I would love that.
Yeah, you gotta love Dennis Allen. Some guys are meant to be coordinators.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's
we just had a guy here.
Exactly.
That was our head coach.
Is he interviewing at Notre Dame now?
Well,
I
did try to bother Ivan with that. What was it, yesterday?
I'm dead serious. I just got a text.
If he fucking did, like, all honesty, okay. Like, you're not the head coach. You're the defensive coordinator. Be a little bit more ballsy on third down, big guy, in big time situations, and then maybe you could do something right. But for me, just keep his ass away from the head coaching gig.
Yeah, he will not be a head coach again. I was surprised Matt Nagy got an interview with the Jets. Obviously, the Jets hired Aaron Glenn, who was another Detroit Lions coach. They put his staff choices already out there. Is that the same thing? Just speculative?
Yeah, they put a list of speculative coaches.
Before we get into all this tonight, I just want to play this TJ Lang interview that he had with Waddle and Sylvie, because Shane and I, and thank you, Shane, for clipping this. I've stood here and dealt with the likes of a lot of frauds out there trying to tell me differently or take shots at me, which is taking shots at us, because that's how we run this. And we all stand up for each other. This right here, I always say, sitting there watching tape and knowing how to coach the offensive line, people that are real people and honest will know their limitations. Like, Shane has never pretended that he could break down the offensive line and do that. Some people portray they can. They can't. They just can't. So when I've watched Chris Morgan since he's been here, I've known and seen the continuous and utter mistakes and lack of teaching and accountability.
Actually, speaking to Jared's comment there, Ben Johnson spoke specifically on Mark Brunell. Yeah, to the Chicago Bears, and he said, as much as he would love it, it's extremely unlikely that Mark Brunell will end up in Chicago.
Yeah, Yurko specifically asked about him. Yeah. And he said no, and I was pissed that Yurko asked about him, because I was like, you should be asking about Fraley.
Yeah, and according to Brad Biggs, that is not likely in Chicago.
That sucks.
Reports are that he's expected to stay in Detroit, but we'll see. Nothing is
nothing's set. We'll see, but Big Steve has talked about it with me. My father has come on in our patron shows and talked about the lack of teaching the Chicago Bears and how poor the coaching is. I'll just play this courtesy of Waddle and Sylvie show. Former Packer offensive lineman put a beat down on us a lot, actually. TJ Lang. This is what he had to say about the Bears offensive line.
Like I said, Ben's a very detailed guy. And when I watch some of the Chicago film throughout the past couple of years and their offensive line play, I don't think it's a massive lack of talent. You just look at some of the things and you're like, man, like they're just not very detailed in what they're doing. They're just not very detailed in some of the combo blocks or some of the communication. That should be pretty simple. So I don't want to say there was maybe anything negative on the coaching staff there in Chicago, but that's going to be something that I know Ben is going to harp on. He's going to harp on.
So seriously,
he doesn't want to say it, but he said it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's important. It's
exactly.
Like I said, when you and Cap and I were talking this morning to each other, it's what you've been saying You were saying it all the way back to, before Matt Nagy was coach of the year, and people were saying, oh, you're crazy, and, come on, this dude is coach of the year. And it doesn't work like that when you see things repeatedly on film that don't add up, or just regular fundamental flaws in terms of basic concepts and parameters of being an offensive lineman. If we can see it and we're not invested into that day to day, 24/7, 365, like Chris Morgan obviously should be being in Hallis Hall, let that sink in. And this is the big slap in the face to Ryan Poles, who's catching a bunch of bouquets today because everybody's excited, because everybody is assuming change automatically means everything is fixed. And we as Bears fans should be way smarter than that. Kevin White's going to be wide receiver 1 for the next 12 years, right? Well, it didn't work out that way. But you see it on tape early. Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus didn't see it at all, ever. And they missed it when they got rid of the entire coaching staff, offensive coaching staff in the offseason. Kept him.
I have big reservations. I told Cox and Shane about Ryan Poles, and I will continue to be that way. I'm hoping Ben, working with him, will put a guardrail up.
Well, you may not even have to have that, Phil. I think Ben Johnson has a whole lot of fucking power.
That's what my prayer is, that he is the guy saying, this is who I want. And I'm sorry, Ryan Poles has shown me he just can't see it. Even when he talked about leaders today, I just didn't sit well with me that we got to teach people to be leaders. Give them Mitch Trubisky's book again. Like, no, a leader leads, especially a leader will leads. Check out other leaders. They'll know who other leaders are. Ryan Poles seems to not be able to do that. And
who was leading on the Tyreek Stevenson stuff? Nobody.
No one. Exactly. Maybe George McCaskey, because he was upset by his antics. That's it. That's the only time we see accountability. Remember, they had a discussion, if we go all the way back to Garner Johnson forcing that fight against the Saints. Remember?
Yeah.
It's fucking George McCaskey scolding them.
Well, don't forget
this is a problem here.
Anthony Miller's retaliation on top of that.
Yeah.
And he went and did it.
Yeah, right.
He did it again after. There's no... When you have cornball coaches, head coaches, that's something I really thought was so important, that he showed that he was a leader. That when you pressed him, every coach on this team is going to have an attitude about them. And they're going to administer that. And if people go across that line, then they're going to be reprimanded. And that's how it should be. It has not been like that. And that's been under Ryan Poles' watch. And when Shane cut that clip from Waddle and Silva with TJ Lang, TJ's not trying to throw shade, but is throwing shade at Chris Morgan and the previous coaching staff. A lot of people defended Chris Morgan. We did not. I saw what he is. He's soft. Gotta be. I'm especially there. Not one fucking captain from the offensive line. Who's the O-line coach teaching these guys? Soft boy. So this is very important, this hire here. I was really excited about Hank Fraley when Carmi V was coming out with that, because I know that he'll come in here as a former player himself. I'm really pushing. They should be calling Olin Kreutz. Say, oh, we ain't going to pay you $15. Like, Ben, I'm not even kidding. I don't know who they have lined up for offensive line coach, but I don't think you'd hurt yourself by getting him on the phone, because you're talking about a guy that understands what leaders are, who leaders are. And the Bears need this right now. Ben Johnson, there's no doubting that the guy has an air of confidence. He's got a command. And when you see former players getting upset, you saw David Montgomery's meme. You're obviously, Shane put it in the intro, the St. Brown. And believe me, there's a lot more players that are going to miss the guy, because there's a line of accountability and toughness holding to that builds and garners relationships.
Right. Or lack of toughness, like Chris Foster and Dante Purify, right?
Oh my God.
Lazy cunts like those two fucking guys. The best part is Dante DM'd me and wanted Chris Foster's info. It was
What?
the weirdest.
Who knows who Chris Foster is?
It was the weirdest shit.
So he is Chris Foster then.
Yeah, he wanted Chris. He's like, bro, this kid, there's something with this kid. I got it. Dante said Chris Foster is his haul. So yeah.
What? Oh my God. Aren't they the Bajent boys?
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
You think Ben Johnson came here?
Yeah.
To coach
Bajent?
Bajent?
Oh, look who's
Bajent?
here. Hey, Dante.
There he is.
I'll give you $13 for your truck and your cunt mother. How about that?
Oh, Jesus.
What a sorry ass dude.
Oh.
Bye.
Yeah, I think we still have a show, and there's a lot of people watching the show.
Bye, Dante.
The reality of this show is we don't like that kind of soft, lying baby crap that you guys pull. You're so soft.
Exactly.
It's just sad. I've never seen anything like that. I saw the dude in the chat. I think Bullet sent me a screenshot or some TTNL fan. Like, the guy's constantly talking about our show. Just keep talking about it, bro.
That's right.
Smash the like button and subscribe. Please take the time out
Dante came in and asked if we still have a show.
while he's watching the show.
He's still watching the show.
Yes,
That's the
this is
fucking
the
crazy
best-
part.
The best thing is I have access to. So anybody that ever chats in this forum, I have access to literally every comment that they've left on our forum. Every one of them. And Dante is asking, and he was in our show last week. He was in the last 4 BHLs. He was in the last Cars Keys. But that's what it is.
So
Chris,
he's watching the show.
I'm gonna go watch, bro. Watch. I'm gonna go on there tonight. It's gonna be so fucking great. After we're done, we can go eat some pancakes.
Watch some Bajent tape. Oh
Yeah.
my God. It's pathetic, man. But we got to see who that offensive line coach is going to be. It's going to be a big, important hire. It's sad that it's been so long since I've felt the confidence of somebody who's capable. Right? I feel like Ben Johnson brought a level of showcase that wasn't an embarrassment. He stood at the podium as the director of football. Like, football is the priority here. It has not been. It has not been. So, and it's very, no pun intended, right there. It has not been football. Now I felt like Ben making football a priority. Culture, respect, effort, intensity.
Well, you know what I respected most about him? The Phil was when he's like, well, yeah, it's very evident that the offensive line isn't where it needs to be. A lot of guys, especially in their first introductory presser, would say, well, there's been so much going on. I haven't really dove into that yet. That's what I'm going to, we're going to get at that a little bit later today. And he was open and upfront about that. I get it. And it's glaringly obvious to everybody. But I respect it because you said it.
I love
Matt
that.
Eberflus wouldn't say it now.
100%. You have to be authentic. A lot of these, like Pat the Design, it's not authentic. When you take a contrarian point of view and try to stand firm at that, gambling that you're going to be right. You have not watched fucking tape. It's like Shea Snorling talking about the possibility of moving Braxton Jones to guard. It's pathetic. You're muted.
You're muted, yeah.
I'll one up you with Shea.
Yeah.
When Notre Dame was in the playoffs, do you remember the whole 4th down call? You remember that?
Which one?
For Notre Dame, and then they got them to go offsides.
Yes.
You remember that?
He's ready to be our coach.
Shea goes, based off that sequence right there, I'm bringing him in to interview for head coach. And then go read what he had to say when they kicked the field goal the other night, which I agree with him. It was horrible decision.
Terrible decision.
Totally agree. But it's in the moment, here we go. This is the guy. Oh, fuck you, you're trash.
Well,
Like
that's why Cap calls him First Take Shea, because he has just quick hot takes. But it is what it is. I mean, look,
that's why I love Cap.
I told you guys there was no way I was bringing him in. Like, if it was an interview, it would have been just a save face. Might have been a Rooney Rule, even. Like, if that was the case, like, I don't, but he was just not ready to be an NFL coach. He's in the perfect spot. He's in his perfect spot. Let him grow as a coach. Let's see down the line. But going ahead and just flavor of the weeking it, it's not the right way.
That's my point. There's two. Dan Orlovsky is doing that. Here's Shane putting together the intro for tonight, producing that. Our boy Jack put together the best hype video I've seen in a long time. We just can't play it for copyright, I guess. Even though I want to play the fucking thing because it's so good. In regards to this coach and Caleb Williams. Shane putting together the intro.
You can go watch it.
You can go watch it at our Patreon channel.
Neverlies.com. Scan the QR code right there. Sign up.
Yeah, the free access gets you nothing.
Right. It gets you Dante's show on our network.
Gets you Dante. It should.
How many black helicopters are up above my house tonight, Chris?
We should send it to one of these other funny show, like a free option link. It sends it to like the worst. You could fill it in. But my point was, here's Nate Tice talking exactly like TTNL about Caleb Williams. No one at this network says Caleb doesn't need to work on things. But when the numbers are what they are statistically, and then the tape says what it does surrounding him with the negligent coach situationally, formationally, and then firings in the middle of the season, getting to this point, then you have a whole different level of understanding why Ben Johnson wanted this job. It's because of Caleb Williams.
Oh yeah, but you asked Peter Bukowski, and he was going after Danny Parkins. Danny Parkins said the same thing, and he's like, "I don't. The job is the job. It has nothing to do with Caleb Williams." Just speaking in fact, it's just fucking nonsense. But just let me address this one real quick, and this is from our guy Dalton Spain, because this has been all over the place. And guys, it was not Ted Phillips that he was talking about.
Bullets isn't the only.
No. Ted Cruz is the guy's name. He's the special advisor to the president and CEO. He's essentially, in layman's terms, is Kevin Warren's right-hand man. If you go back and watch the presser, when Kevin Warren walks in, Ted Cruz is right there with him. He is a major hire that the Bears had, pulling him away from the Kansas City Chiefs. It had nothing to do with Ted Phillips. Ted Phillips was not there. Ted Phillips does not work for the Chicago Bears. He had nothing to do with any of this. That's just how scarred everybody is. They hear the name fucking Ted.
It gives you
there's just
douche chills.
Yeah. Fuck
you, Bullets.
Exactly. Fuck you, Bullets. I mean, that one blogger was crying. He's like, Daddy's back. But it wasn't.
No, don't be upset, Dalton. It's Ted Cruz, who's now Kevin Warren's consigliere.
Yeah,
okay, he's his right-hand man, setting up all the interview, doing all the legwork, meet and greets. What kind of champagne are they going to be serving at the dinner tonight? All that stuff. Ted Cruz is on it. He's a big part of this process. But Caleb Williams, I mean, just being there, the excitement. I love the story that he told, that they called him and they sent him Coach Johnson's number and they made a joke about it. And he was like, well, it's good PR.
Yeah.
And then just to hear him, I screamed after the news, much like he screamed after he was drafted by the Chicago Bears. That kind of excitement to get a coach in here. You saw his dad retweeting all that kind of stuff about good coaching and coaching. Coaching is so important, man. Putting these guys, having answers, putting them in situations to succeed. And I'm answering Sean Jones. Yes, this is a guy that's maniacal. In fact, Ryan Cox sent me.
Yeah, it was one of the Detroit radio guys.
Detroit radio guys. His first sentence in defining him, and he's a Giants fan. So he's giving therapy to the Lions fans that are missing, and I can't remember the dude's name, but he's, the Detroit Lions radio voice in the morning. And he's like, this coach is maniacal. There you go. David Montgomery told me the same thing. As I said, asking the right questions and knowing what it is that needs to get done. You haven't hired this kind of guy. I've lived through the Matt Nagy, Eberflus, Giron, Mark Trestman, Dave Wanstedt. I was talking with one of Wanstedt's former players, and the thing that Wani did, and listen, you all know how I feel. I don't really know Dave Wanstedt, the man. He's probably a great guy. But one thing as a coach, I could tell everybody, if you're talking about what you did where you did it last, when you're talking to your team, you could do that once or twice. If that's the whole build, what we did in Dallas, this is what we did, you're going to fall on deaf ears. And this guy said that was the whole premise of Dave Wanstedt, was building what they did at Dallas. And that's the wrong way to do it. And the first thing Ben Johnson talks about is exactly what my father, myself have told this network and its fan base. You don't come in with, this is my offense, and you put it down on the phone. You don't do that as a coach. You look at the talent you have, and then you build off of them. That's exactly what a great coach does. You have all the X's and O's you can even think of. Everything comes from some. RPO comes from I formation, freeze option. All of it comes together. Pistol, RPO, off of the pistol, spread. All of this stuff comes from something else. It's just incorporated in another way. How you put it together and how you find the right place is important. Now, one other thing Ben said that we've said here I've said for the last 13 years of talking about Bears football, the old network and before. If you're an offensive coordinator, if you're any kind of offensive philosophy, your offensive formations have to marry up. So when you look like you're doing something that they think you're doing the opposite. I can say with complete and sheer confidence, there has not been one coach that has stepped to the podium as a coordinator or a head coach that has ever made that clear until today. And it's very, very important in this game of football, especially if you're going to be consistent, because you got to know your identity and what you do well, and you counter off of it. That's what the great ones will do, and that's when you always will have success. And his exact verbiage of it, I guess he learned it from John Shoup, and that makes a lot of people nervous. But
that was a long time ago.
John Shoup was here a long time ago and was surrounded by, who was the head coach? Was that Geron?
I believe so, yeah.
As a young, he had to learn his mistakes from his mistakes. So don't get all your panties in a bunch because of the John Shoup.
Yeah, Chubbs essentially is, his super chat is what you were.
It's not Madden.
Yeah,
it's not Madden. Definitely not Madden. It takes a lot of work to find your identity and what you do really well, and then design plays that come off of those.
It is a lot of work, Phil, but it shouldn't take 3 years.
It shouldn't take 13 years.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah. Thank you, Chubbs.
Thank you, Chubbs. But you'll see a whole different energy. I just hope Cole Kmet is ready. And I would tell Cole right now, start getting into plyometrics and explosive drills to get your twitchiness out. You can get better at your stem and your movement. He's too flat-footed and he's too slow in his separation break. He can get better. I saw improvement with this.
Yeah, and Cap talked about that, and it's obviously not just specifically Cole. And this is something that I have maintained forever with the Chicago Bears. You watch it just on kick and punt coverage, Phil. How slow the Bears are overall.
Oh, my God.
Terrible. And this has been a thing with Ben Johnson talking about overall team speed. That's going to change, and it has to change. That's why don't ask if Keenan Allen's coming back, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. It's over.
Yeah. Steve, $4.99 patron Steve here. Bear down 100. Maybe a real coach. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's like I said, I don't think we can get. I don't think we
can't
think
predict
we can get our
games.
The thing that I like about Ben Johnson, and this Cars and I were chatting about this a little bit. Ben Johnson is one of those guys that you're not sitting back and having to talk yourself into. Well, maybe since he did this, and then you just swallow hard and try to accept it. Ben Johnson has to go out and prove it. We know that. But the track record of what he was brought here for, we have never had here. Matt Nagy didn't have that track record. Mark Trestman did not have that track record. He's got 3 years of play calling at an elite level in the NFL. Oh, yeah, by the way, it happens to be in your division. Major deal to a first-time head coach that he's already got that aspect of it covered. That's a big deal. You know, Aaron Glenn going to the AFC East. Yes, he's familiar. It's still a big difference. Ben Johnson has that. That part's covered. It's a big fucking deal, man.
Hell yeah. Do we have that clip of him?
Which one?
I thought that was a little Shane Marsaw like, the clip of him talking about the division. And he goes on and he's like, this division has great coaches. When you look at Dan Campbell and McDonald there, you're talking about great coaches in this division, and I live for that. And then he sly face, smile, and he's like, and I can't help to like the fact that I've beaten
McDaniel.
What's his name? From the Packers.
Yeah.
LaFleur.
LaFleur, thank you. LaFleur 2 times. However he did. We need that clip.
I got it.
I didn't have enough time to cut it.
Yeah, I got it. Just give me a second.
It's so great how he set that up because he was on point with his dig. He went right at him. There we go. He wasn't afraid.
He enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
But the way he set it up.
What are you saying, that I'm a condescending little fuck nugget there?
It needs the meat in front of that was so great that was like the punchline to it. It was so great.
Yeah.
I'm like, this motherfucking Shane was the first one I thought, because he goes on about the division and how great the coaching and Dan Campbell, and then he shits on the floor.
Yeah. I love Chris Foster. Mother's a fucking pig, but Chris is cool.
Oh my God, it was great. He got that right out the gate. I definitely, first thing I said, I texted Ivan, Shane, and I think Bullets was in that, and I'm like, this dude addressed himself as Pat the Designer. Now everyone knows me as Draft Dr. Phil, right? Or a lot of DDP, whatever. There is 0.0 chance I'm at a presser and I go, hi, Draft Dr. Phil, the Tape Never Lies Network.
That would be I would be like, what did he just? I would call Shane immediately and be like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, not Philatoshin.
Can't be like Philatoshin, the Tape Never Lies Network, and ask my question. Like, never. God.
Can't you hear Cap there? The Cap Man, ESPN 1000.
The Cap Man. Take that.
No. Like, what are you doing, bro? Pat the Designer. Yes. Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, I must have. My phone blew up for that more than anything. It was just...
Oh, and then he followed it up with a horrible question. That was.
Oh my God.
That's what gets me in that. This isn't just directed at Pat, because there was plenty of them today, but some of the questions, I understand sometimes you have to ask the surface level stuff just to see not so much what the answer is, but how they're going to get to that answer. But you're talking to a first-time head coach in a media market like Chicago, and one of the questions was, do you think you can compete in 2025? Did you really expect him to get up there and say, fuck no, Yeah, well, so fans, we're fucked this year coming up. No fucking doubt about it. But buckle up for 2026.
Is some guys need to really rethink their question. So you doubled down on stupid. That's what happened there. And I just listen, that's what this show is. If that makes you upset, or you're gonna pretend like Dante that you don't know who we are, when everybody fucking knows who we are, bro.
Yeah, that
including
wasn't Dante.
when
That
Virginia McCaskey knows who the hell we are, you know who the fuck we are too. Please, just come on the show and we'll talk it out. We'll talk it out. And maybe there you, like, I would have so much respect if you were just truthful, authentic. You try to be a bit Billy Badass, you look like a fucking lying fraud. It's pathetic. You're the new Chris Foster.
But
Jeepers creepers.
They did do old Chicago Bears things during the presser. 2 more. It's not like it went an exorbitant amount of time.
Like, I said the same thing. Like, what date do you have? Like, you just hired the coach. Draft Dr. Phil, the Tape Never Lies Network. What's the chance of you having a fullback on the goal line on 4th and 1? Take that. Christ. What's the chances of Tyler Scott being more involved this year?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, but I look at him like I look at Braxton Jones, like I look at Karan Amagaji. They're on the team, and that's great. I'm not writing them in pen on any depth chart in any position. They're here. Go out and compete and show me what you got.
That'll be the most important thing for me, and I think that's what he's going to bring to the table. Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears organization themselves have to stop living in a hierarchy of pay and draft position. That's got to stop. You have to play the best guys. You have to. And that hasn't happened here. That's why, as a young coach, I hope that he's not blown away by the iconic Chicago Bears history.
Well,
that was a good.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And listen, I get it. They have their thing. It's just like, Tony Medlin presenting him with the Script B hat and saying, you're wearing the same hat that, the founder, George Halas wore. And then, okay, cool. That's awesome. I think some of that shit is you've been a rudderless ship for most of your last 45 years. Let's be honest.
100%.
So, cry me a fucking river when I see how much a Script B hat means to this franchise because George Halas wore it. Okay, I don't give a fuck. You know what I would do if I was the head coach? I'd say, all right, thank you. And I would go and pick out a different hat.
Because you're psychotic like that.
But come on. That's the shit that shouldn't matter. It means nothing. It means absolutely zero.
Listen, I'm okay with that kind of tradition. That's fine. I don't like the worry and concern about a personality in the presser. I don't like the fact that George McCaskey can have any kind of say, and the Bears, in who is there asking questions, but this dude could go in there and ask questions. I don't like that. I don't like that kind of understanding is happening with the Chicago Bears, where they're going to limit, okay, 2 more. No, ask every question. You just culminated a search for a head coach. Why can't they have that time? Pepe remembers.
That was the other one, yeah.
Shane hated that.
But I mean, can you imagine waiting in a presser? And that's, it was 14 below with the wind chill, and I saw you had the big puffy jacket on there. Does it help? Does
keep you warm?
No. That's why I had it on, Pat.
They got Kevin Warren. Listen, Kevin was good with Waddle and Sylvie. That was a good interview.
It's just I don't get caught up in it.
You can't because he's lying about the stupid.
A lot of used car salesmen to Kevin Warren
And this is the one thing I hope that's true. That's why I wish Cap would be doing the interview, because I feel like they're kind of tiptoeing around pushing back where you shouldn't be. Like allowing Jeff Joniak to do interviews with these. Jeff, just fucking be the play-by-play guy. Just stop. It's embarrassing. You're the biggest ass kisser of George McCaskey that I've ever fucking seen. It's embarrassing. You walk around with an arrogance that I can't even stomach. For what? You're the play-by-play guy of the network. You should be shaking every fan's hand. They're paying your fucking salary. Don't kiss the ass of George McCaskey. That's you're part of the fucking problem. You're part of the problem. This higher than thou energy. That was the stench that continued to get you. Nagy, Eberflus, good old boy network. Ryan Poles, for whatever you could say, hopefully he stepped in and got their number one coach that they felt out of the 17 that they interviewed. And to my point here, the difference, Joniak would never push back. Sylvie did a little when he said, Kevin Warren said something to the likes of, no, my wife listens to the show. Oh, guys, she listened. Hey, we've been critical. No. And Kevin stops him to his credit. No, we get it. And the same kind of thing that Ian Cunningham had said to me. You guys are paid to be critical and understand this stuff. We understand it. My wife gets it. Do you listen? No, I don't. But my sons and my wife listen. And I get it. She'll report back to me. I get it. You guys do a great job. Good. That's what this should be.
Right. Exactly. And
there's zero wrong with it. What the get comfortable being uncomfortable should be to George McCaskey. But that's what gives me pause, because I just don't think he can. I can't trust him. And Ryan Poles makes me nervous. Is he a yes man like Joniak is, like all of the guys? Or is Kevin Warren having those tough conversations? And Shane, you said this right when he was hired, that George needs to hear the things that he hasn't heard.
Absolutely. He heard things he didn't want to hear this time. And that's where you do have to give Kevin Warren credit. I mean, imagine interviewing Dan Quinn and putting him, and he's in the last row of the fucking plane in a middle seat. A head coach of a fucking NFL, a potential head coach of your team.
That changed. Sylvie, to his credit, asked him about that. Cap was the one who actually changed this shit, in my opinion, by putting it out there.
Yeah.
They all like to make fun of our boy Cap, but authenticity, passion, those things have to be. Let's not tiptoe. And Sylvie did push on that. Did it change? And you should have heard the answer. It was
Eric, real quick, go listen to Paul Allen in Minnesota. See if he challenges anybody in the Minnesota Vikings organization.
Exactly.
Happens all the time.
You're missing another aspect of what
Not
I
like
said.
they're calling him a piece of shit. It's just saying that's a horrible. Nothing wrong with saying that's a horrible call, or how are you not holding Tyreek Stevenson accountable?
How is this coach
a game? Yeah, there's nothing.
Tom Thayer is challenging this shit. Tom is doing it.
Does it live on air.
Does it live on air.
Call a timeout.
Challenging them in front of them. Joniak is kissing ass. It just gives me chills down my spine. And the big thing you're missing, Eric, is that I said how arrogant this guy is. Don't be arrogant to the people that are paying your pay. There it is. Sylvie pushed him on Arlington Heights as well.
Yeah, it still makes absolutely no.
They pushed him on Ryan. They pushed both Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren on Ryan Poles' contract.
Yeah, and I want to just bringing up Ryan Poles. I brought this up, and this is Ryan Poles. This is what got to me, and I will stop it when I hear the part that just
Jurkovic did a great job here, by the way. Shout out to Yurko.
But listen to this.
It sure seemed like Caleb was really set up for success going into this year. I think we all believe that. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, it wasn't. As you look back, what went so wrong, you think?
A couple of things. I think one, in general, Caleb, I think he's 37 starts in his career, one offense, one coach. This game, the playbook, is a completely different animal. The responsibilities of a quarterback in the pros is different, and that takes a lot of adjusting to. So how you set up the foundation is really, really important. And I really think at some point there were some steps.
You're the one who hired the Waldron.
Well, you just talked right over the meat and potatoes of what I was getting at, but let me
go ahead.
rewind it. And this is what
this wouldn't be a show if I didn't.
Listen to this part, and this is critical, and I will pause it again, so and then we can talk about it.
Steps skipped to get into game day is really, really important. And I really think at some point there were some steps skipped to get into game day, and we need to go back, and I know Ben's going to do it, go back and
there was some things skipped to get him to game day.
That ain't doing it right.
That just admits that your coaching staff is awful. Yes, Caleb can take a part in that. Obviously, if they had to repeat stuff over and over and over again, he just wasn't getting it. You can hold Caleb accountable with that too. But they're not getting the point across to Caleb. And we obviously know that Shane Waldron was a massive issue. Phil.
100%. So was Eberflus. So was keeping Eberflus.
Right, but
this is the indictment right here. To your point.
You wonder why things went the way that they went. And let that sink in. All that chaos, and it was still 20-6 and 3,500 for Caleb. I know the bar is low in Chicago at quarterback, but come on. The general manager, the guy that's hiring all of those guys, just told the world that, yeah, we skipped some steps to get him to game day. It's horrible.
Well, we called it then. He should have never hired Eberflus. You can go all the way back to that, but you did. You had the opportunity to set the deck the correct way. Hire this coach.
But again, Eric, you're looking at it the wrong way. How much of that was because the team sucked? If your quarterback isn't fucking prepared and you're skipping steps along the way, guess what? Your team's going to fucking suck.
They went 4-2 to start the season.
And let's not overlook it that in OTAs, there was Chicago Bears players that knew the Shane Waldron hire was a mistake. Verified. In OTAs.
And expressed it to this guy, the GM. Expressed it leading into camp that this guy isn't the guy. What am I going to do? Well, a proactive person needs to make a change. Should have went to Thomas Brown right away. That's what but again, you kept the weakest link coach ever. It's so pathetic. That's why you have pause. Now, hopefully the staff that Ben Johnson puts together is indicative of something that resembles quality coaching and accountability like he's preaching. But you can't skip steps and you can't hold it against Caleb Williams
of all goddamn positions, Phil.
I agree.
This isn't Tory Taylor that we're talking about.
100%. That's why, listen, ESPN has hired a jackass, giving him a platform, several of them. And whether their goal is or is not to make sound bites that are so dumb and moronic, all it is a gamble and a bet on being right in someone else's failure without proper analysis. And I'm just telling you as a coach that what Caleb Williams has done, numbers wise and tape wise, if you think that you're going to talk football and just skip over, I heard Shea Snorling do this. You're just going to skip over. Yeah, he avoided 50 sacks. I don't want to hear that. He took 62. He did not. Let's watch tape. Show me the sacks that he took. Let's watch all the free runs.
Well, and
free run sacks.
And context matters.
It does.
You know, it's like when you talk to a Green Bay fan or you hear Peter Bukowski, give justifications of why Green Bay lost to Chicago. Oh, well, starting quarterback wasn't in there. And then this guy got hurt. This guy wasn't in there. Yeah, you were also playing the worst line in the worst offensive line in the NFL. That was mainly backups. Right? Bears still suck, right? Yeah, we know that. And you lost to him. Your quarterback wasn't in there because we knocked him out. That's why. I'm not sitting here
100%.
saying that we're better than you guys were on the year. I'm not saying that. Context matters to it all.
Take your L. Swallow it down and digest it for the whole entire offseason. The Chicago Bears have changed the most important position in the Chicago Bears history. It's the coach getting a leader and a guy that with a plan in there, enthusiastic and wanting to prove who he is and set the tone of his culture. He'll know what his identity is opening day. That you can't say that. There's never been that. Nagy was learning how to call plays, let alone be a head coach.
Right.
Come on.
So, Drew, on that, I have heard nothing on that, and I don't even know if people understand the way that this works. I would be shocked if Caleb switched back to 13. I, for one, hope he doesn't. I like 18 on him, but if Caleb decides to switch numbers,
Either way, I'm
Caleb,
good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Either way.
Ivan is covered. He's got both. But the way that works is Caleb is on the hook to buy all of the number 18 jerseys back from the NFL that have been produced. And when you're talking about a guy that was, leading the league in jersey sales, that's a massive number. That's the way that actually works. People don't understand that. I have heard that there could be a number change coming for Roma Dunze. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I have heard that 15 might not be in his future. We'll see. But
what would it be?
I don't know. Won't be number 1 like he was in college. He could switch it to catch the fucking ball.
He is a phenomenal talent. This offense will be calibrated with him in mind. Ben Johnson talking about Caleb Williams. There's a part in there where he talks about the quarterback, and he gets this sly grin. We could watch the presser.
Yeah, turn it over to the chat and see if you guys want us to air the presser, and you can hear our reactions to it. We're glad to do it. I also have the pressers of Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, and George McCaskey. Maybe not everybody has seen those, but in the chat, let us know, or whatever you think, man.
You decide. I don't give a shit about the chat. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, fuck the chat.
Fuck Dante. I think we should watch a little bit of the it's only a half hour.
Yeah, 2 more. We'll take 2 more questions. Phil.
2 more questions.
All right.
So there's Chris Sandlin has spoken.
I want to thank
he hasn't seen any of them
that we interviewed over the last 2 weeks. I want to thank our search committee.
You didn't see Penn State in the final either.
Their energy and what was an exhaustive search. We said we were going to cast a wide net, and that's exactly what we did. I want to thank Kevin and George for their support and their leadership. Our entire organization is fired up about Ben Johnson. Throughout the entire process, we came away really impressed with his passion.
Darth, for Christ's sake.
His football.
I'm glad your ass got cut in half on the fucking movie, dummy. Jesus.
The great
it's a fucking joke, bro.
Calls to his teammates in North Carolina.
Why these guys hating on the chat?
Miami and Chicago. Or I'm sorry, Detroit.
Use your real name.
You realize
like he should use your real.
Sandlin's got fighting.
Without further ado,
what's my
Ben
best
Johnson,
coach known for, and what's yours known for?
Chicago Bears.
Ouch. That hurt.
Hey Shane, they did clap for Ben, but not Matt.
Morning.
There you go.
George is making everybody.
Maybe
how much that motherfucker just cost?
As the head coach of the Chicago Bears, I would be remiss not to acknowledge a number of people that have helped me along the way here, starting with where I just came from. Sheila Ford Hamp and her family have been incredible for the last 6 years of my life, making Detroit and the Lions organization a great place.
He reminds me of like
you know,
Richie
and raise our
Cunningham
kids.
back in the day.
Dan Campbell is more than just a colleague to me. He is a friend. He is a mentor. He is a man that
Adam
trusted
Schefter
me
will have
when he
his
didn't need to.
contract
and,
numbers.
I will forever be in his debt.
I don't know why they keep this shit a
and
secret.
respect
Like,
the heck out of him.
gives
He's
a
an
fuck.
amazing person. One time someone told me he is a unicorn, and they could not be more true words than that. I appreciate Rod Wood, Mike Disner, the rest of the executives there in Detroit. They were a pleasure to work with, and it was one of the
You
most
see him walk in and
times
give dap
being
to
able
Caleb?
turn that franchise
Yeah, I did.
The
around.
Matrix.
The offensive staff in Detroit. There might have been some tough
Telling you,
nights.
he
There
looks
might have been
like
some tough game days.
Richie
but
Cunningham.
I do appreciate
Bro, I'm gonna put up a
your
picture of Fred
support, your
Hoiberg.
understanding,
Look at this shit.
and
Former
Young
Chicago,
your camaraderie.
former
at the end of the
Chicago
day.
Bulls player and head coach.
The players, man, this is
Yeah, he does look a little bit
one of the
like
hardest things to do is to leave
Except
a
he
group of men that you love. And
he's got the Richie
I will forever
Cunningham
be
comb
impacted
over
by
cup.
St. Brown, Goff, Ragnow. I can keep going on and on and on. One of the reasons you get into coaching is to make the people around you better. But the truth is that those group of guys, they made me a better coach and a better person. They inspired me every single day. And I love driving into work to work with those
He doesn't
men
look like
every single
Rick
day.
from The Walking Dead. Freddie
One of the
Cunningham.
biggest pieces of the puzzle for me
Richie
is my
Cunningham.
family, my wife. You have been the rock. I know
Good
it has not been
job,
easy.
Coach.
One of the most
Shout out
selfish
your wife.
things I've ever done is to ask you to come on this adventure. And you did it full steam ahead, no ifs, ands, or buts. And you've become a fantastic mother and such an incredible partner. This is not my journey. This is our journey. Thank you so much along the way. Rick Smith and Priority Sports, thank you for making this transition seamless for
You
me.
have to give yourself options, Steve.
Things happen fast.
You know, you can have
as
your
the
number
season
one,
ended,
and then
you were able to provide
he goes
all the
someplace and
necessary
says, "No, I just don't want to be in
information
Chicago.
make
My
an
wife doesn't want
informed
to live
decision."
there.
Thank you for that.
We don't want to raise our
Exactly.
family there. You have to give yourself options. It's called due diligence.
With that being said, I want to thank the search committee here in Chicago. It was clear to me from the beginning that the priorities were straight. There's only one way for us
Mine's
to have
better.
success here, and that's the right people in place. George, thank you for trusting the people that you've hired. It is perfectly clear that you're willing to provide all the resources necessary for us to build a sustained winner here in
He's
Chicago.
setting the tone. Open
Kevin,
the
I
motherfucking
appreciate
bank.
your support as well. You're going to play an integral part of
Better
everything
get
that we
ready
have
to
going
open
on.
it back up for Trey Smith if he
And
actually
Ryan,
does hit free
thank
agency,
you so
like
much
they're saying.
for trusting and believing in me. What you
The
and your
biggest-
staff have already built here
Larison's going
is
to pitch
so
in.
enticing.
I got you, Trey.
This roster is absolutely loaded with talent already.
pitch
and I
in
look
for
forward to
Trey.
Building it with you. You and I, as we've already talked about, we're going to be in lockstep every step of the way. I cannot wait to work with you.
He's looking right at him. I like
told
that.
this search committee
Talking
that I
to
wanted
both.
this job.
Hear it?
And there's several reasons why I wanted this job. The first is this place. For the last 10 plus years, my family and I have been coming up for a Cubs series every summer. And it doesn't take long to realize that this place is special. These people are special. This is exactly where I wanted to raise my family, my kids. I know we're
Wow.
going to have so much fun.
Wants to raise
living
them here.
Up here in Chicago. All right. Number two is this roster that Ryan's already built. It is stocked. It's loaded. Everyone wants to talk about the quarterback, and Caleb, I'm excited to work with you.
Looks them straight
It's
in the
going to
eye.
take more than just you, and there are a lot of pieces already in place, and I can't wait to get to work with the rest of you guys.
Look at them
And then
all in the
finally,
eye. I love that.
I wanted to stay in this division.
That's world champion Dodgers to you, Eric.
I know this is the toughest division of football right now.
Sorry about the
three
jealousy.
teams that made the playoffs this year. I've got tremendous amount of respect.
This is it
for the coaches and the players in this league.
This is Shane
I've
Marshall.
competed against them for the last 6 years. Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell. You're talking about two guys that are up for Coach of the Year awards as the season ends here. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. With that being said, I do have a message here for the players. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. The bar has been set higher than it's ever been set before. The only way for this team, as individual players, to reach your potential is to be pushed and to be challenged. And that's exactly what I and my staff plan on doing. We are going to push, we're going to challenge. And along with those high standards, there's also going to be a high level of support as well. Everybody in this building is going to be all about helping you guys out. How do you become the best versions of yourselves? That's what it's going to be about from start to finish. When you walk in, it'll be crystal clear, the communication,
authenticity plus
the structure, and the consistency.
This is something I would say right there.
Our mission starting this spring,
who are you?
Is to win and to win now. I get goosebumps right now just thinking about
the best of you
being the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I know exactly what this role and this responsibility requires.
Look at this.
And I cannot wait to get to work.
Boom.
Thank you.
Boom. Pause it for a second, Shane. Authenticity plus, he knows exactly what it takes. He gets goosebumps. He's being completely open, vulnerable, and honest. Like, I can stand and watch a coach talk and recognize who is real and who's a fucking bullshit ass coach. Right there, his address to the players and the job at hand was outstanding. The way he took a shot at Green Bay without doing a meatballish shot at Green Bay was so Marshall-like. That is important to know. It's not meatball-like, but it is competitive-like. You don't think LaFleur is going to get wind of that, set the rivalry? This guy's fucking ready to put his flag down and make his mark. I mean, that's what this is all about. I coach kids. I want them to be the best them. That's my job. There's not one single acronym that I'm throwing out at these kids. I'm just throwing out real. So Coach Johnson standing at the podium, recognizing the task and the job and being authentic, that stuff is important for me at a presser. Not nervous, but vulnerable. That, to me, is very, very, very important.
Check your phone.
Ben, Dan Weeder from the Chicago Tribune. Welcome to Chicago. Saturday afternoon, you walked into Ford Field to coach a
calling
playoff
it
game,
like
and
it
by
is,
Monday
Pat.
afternoon, you were agreeing to a deal here to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. Can you take us through the whirlwind of that stretch for you, and then also why it accelerated the way it did?
Yeah. A tremendous wave of emotions follows up when your season gets ended like it did for us. I'm
Glad
still
Pat's watching
reeling
the
through
show,
some of
Shane.
those feelings myself
Well,
right now.
the animosity
It's
is
a hard thing to
one
do
way,
when
Pat.
you're
No
around a group of
animosity.
guys
We're
as
just
committed
reacting
as we
to
were
what we saw.
not only
We are a
winning the
show that
division
reacts
title,
to what we see.
but getting the number one
And
seed in
here.
the playoffs, but
Let's just
following
keep it
through by
honest.
winning a Super Bowl and coming up short the way that we did. I'm still reeling through that, what I could have done differently. Of course, as that game ended and
There it is,
meetings
authenticity
happened,
again.
information was brought to me about potential situations, and it did not take long for me to realize where I wanted to continue my career.
With that, then, when you were exploring the Bears as a possible place to jump to for yourselves, what questions did you want answered from this organization to assure that it was the right fit for you?
Yeah, I think to me, I talked about alignment last year when I came back to Detroit.
Alignment.
That was really important to me, was to see that the structure set up was conducive to winning. All those questions were answered throughout the interview process. The guys in front of me right here, George, Kevin, Ryan, I believe in them. And I really believe that we will be able to turn this place around.
Hey, Ben. Adam Hogue, CHGO. As you said, Dan Campbell is a unicorn. But I'm curious what you were able to learn from him as you observed him that you feel like you're going to be able to bring to your game as a head coach here in Chicago.
Yeah, Dan Campbell is truly authentic.
This is great
from the moment he
answer
steps into
here.
a building to when he leaves. He's
I'm not him.
entirely him.
Exactly.
And, I know everyone talks about being yourself, but he certainly embodied that over the last 4 seasons I was with him. So I will forever take that with me, along with his ability to empower the people around him. I've seen him totally delegate responsibilities, have complete trust,
Delegate,
in the people that he hires,
trust,
and allow them to do their jobs.
do their
That's something
jobs.
that I plan on taking.
That's
with
what
me
a coach should
the
do.
same.
A head coach should trust the people that
Jason
he
Leisure with the Chicago
hires,
Sun-Times.
not worry about
Two-part
them
question
stabbing
for you
in the
about
back.
the quarterback, about Caleb. I'd read interviews that you did where you talked about being very selective about jobs, looking for a place that would set you up to succeed.
The Raiders
And
fired
my
their
question is, how
GM
much
thinking they
of
were
a
getting this
factor
guy.
Was
True
your belief
story.
in Caleb, your assessment of him, and what's your starting point for how you're going to coach him to play the position?
Listen, it's clear that modern football in the NFL is quarterback driven. That is no secret. You can look at analytics right now. Quarterback success
It's been a secret in
is a
Chicago
higher
for
predictor of
103
winning and
years, bro.
losing than turnover ratio, which it's been for 20+
Turnover
years.
ratio.
Okay, that's changed. So there's no doubt Caleb played a large component into my decision. He is
Large
a
component,
phenomenal talent
not Bayesian or
that
Fields.
had, as many
The
quarterbacks
whole
do,
Pat.
an up and down rookie year. Where I see my role is as a supporter of him. This offense will be calibrated with him in mind. We're going to build this thing. This is not simply
This
a dropping of a
offense-
previous playbook down on the table and starting there.
Shane,
No,
pause it.
we're ripping this thing down to the studs, and we're going to build it
Studs.
up with him first and foremost.
He is the quarterback we're building around. That's why I'm here, because of the immediate and immense talent this guy has. I witnessed it. He did it within the net. If it was me, I'd be like, look what he did. Look what you did, Caleb, surrounded by complete, utter negligence in coaching. You put up numbers almost as equal to the everyone's bowing down Lord Savior in Jaden Daniels. CJ Stroud, who had the best. What the difference was, they didn't have an imbecile as a head coach and an offensive coordinator. That's the difference. In an ultimate team sport, winning now erases any kind of showcase of what someone's doing. So
Last year at this time, everybody thought Bobby Slowick was going to be a chew-in as the next best head coach. And now fans in Houston want him fired. That was 12 months ago.
This part is a showcase of how important It was. So for all the warts Poles has in getting Caleb Williams here, as Shane put it, 103-year absence of this kind of talent at quarterback, anybody not seeing it just doesn't want to be wrong. They want to be right. If you're watching these games and not seeing the sheer unreal like ability as a quarterback, we're talking great footwork, great release of the football, running through his progressions. Does he have to improve on things? Every goddamn quarterback does. So yes, he's got to improve on things.
Yeah, Caleb admitted that himself.
But as my dad would say, it's hard to improve when you got a leaky faucet all the time. So what you're doing with the leaks in the offensive line coming at you should be applauded. And that's why this guy's here doing the right thing. You do not throw your playbook down 78, 48, Y banana, cream pie, all this bullshit. You are doing it the right way, coach. Good on you. Rip it down to the studs. Watch tape. What does Caleb got to work on? What is he great at? What do we need to do to make this offense its best? I know what they need to do. Got to be a hell of a lot more under center stuff. Got to get way better at tight end. You need 2 more tight ends. You need speed at receiver. You need a real tackle breaking running back. Offensive line, we all know they need. Darnell Wright's the only one that you got. I can work with Braxton Jones as a swing tackle. You got to get better there. You fucked up.
Yeah, and we're gonna have more on that. I mean, I'm sure everybody has seen the potential Trey Smith news, the report. Yeah, the report from Field Yates, and if that's the case, it's a no-brainer for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. An absolute no-brainer.
There's so much wrong. There would have been no civil war and all this bullshit if people can admit that they're wrong. The problem in this world today is nobody can be vulnerable. No one, I shouldn't say no one. There have been people that have come into the chat. I'm talking people with a platform. They can't admit they were wrong. Now, what we need, this guy, we have to put all our fucking faith in Ben Johnson having what Shane said, the power. He's the guardrails to Ryan Poles wanting to trade up to get Roma Dunze instead of Brock Bowers or whoever. Olu Fashanu, Verse. You have to freaking identify what it is you need on your team now that is going to benefit your team. And I believe that he's been around this game, worked his ass off to get to this point, that there's going to be nobody more motivated than Ben Johnson to build this the right way. And it can't be misled by George. Prior, it was Ted. Now you have Kevin telling us that George says, okay, do it. So that's where I hope we go. You rip it down to the studs and you build your philosophies around Caleb's skill sets. And you're going to see exactly the type of football player we have in Caleb Williams.
Foremost,
Thanks.
And then with the pieces around him next. I really look forward to challenging him and pushing him, as I said before, to continue to grow and develop.
Hey, Ben, Courtney Cronin, ESPN. On that note, you looked at Caleb and said it's going to take more than you. and you probably better than anybody else know about the importance of the offensive line, but how long it took Detroit to build that unit. Is that something you can realistically replicate here with your goals in mind?
Yeah, I think offensive line is certainly an area that we need to get better play from going forward. Something that Ryan and I have already talked about. We will develop a plan of attack for how to get that done.
Oh, I got your attack already, ready to go.
I'm looking forward to getting an excellent offensive line coach into the building to help develop the young talent that
You
we already have
better,
on the
because
roster.
SEMO ain't it.
We will certainly talk about.
And if they turn around with SEMO,
to
I am
bolster
going to
that
lose
offense
my
as well.
fucking
But
brain.
I was certainly blessed the last few years with the men that I worked with, and that was something I would love to replicate here as well.
Hey, Ben, Patrick Finley with the Chicago Sun-Times. You talked about alignment. Specifically, how are you aligned with Ryan? And how do you learn that when you're having a Zoom conversation and you don't know the man too intimately because of this process going as fast as it did?
Yeah, so here's what I'd say is Ryan did his homework. People on my end did our homework as well. So Ryan had left Boston College right when I was getting there. There's some shared history there. There's a lot of connections that may or may not have already been put together that people understand. I truly believe in the character and integrity of this man. In terms of true alignment, you're going to have to talk to the powers that be here.
I certainly hope not, Scottish. I wouldn't trade DeAndre Swift for a seventh-round draft pick.
Be locked at the
He's got a role. He's just not a lead back. And there's nothing wrong with that.
With all the decisions that are made.
I mean, Phil, would you trade him for a seventh rounder?
Ben,
I would not.
Matt Zahn from CBS Chicago
He's an
right
explosive player.
You've talked about before spending part of your offseason kind of taking a look at the big picture, what it takes to be a head coach. You know, there have been many great coordinators that haven't turned into great head coaches. What did you learn about what it takes to make that transition and what it takes to be a good head coach?
Yeah, the role and responsibilities are completely different. And I'm well aware of that. And I know that a lot of coordinators have failed in this role. Here's what I'd tell you is every step of my journey, whether it's quality control, whether it was position coach, whether it was coordinator, I have found a way to change myself to be the best in that particular job. And so now that the job requirements are changing and I'm no longer just coaching an offensive player or an offensive unit, this is the entire team. And the good news is this, I am a football coach. So I will be able to change and adjust accordingly. The most important thing that we do here is we establish the culture that we want in this building in the springtime. Accountability and integrity, they're going to be the cornerstones of this. Team first mentality is going to be critical for us. I already talked about the communication, the structure, the consistency. That's going to be felt by our players from day one all the way through the end of the season. Okay, and at the end of the day, we are going to lean on a professional work ethic. We're going to learn how to be pros here in this building. We'll be deliberate and intentional with what we do, and then we'll get out of the building and off our feet.
There you go.
Hey, Ben, Mark Brody with Score here in Chicago. Welcome
Mark.
to the city. You mentioned that this roster is loaded with talent. So then when you look back at the Bears season, you know, enduring a 10-game losing streak, does that surprise you that a team with this type of talent endured that? And how close do they not need to make that many changes going into this year?
Yeah, listen, we'll evaluate the whole roster. I have not watched all the tape, but I have a good feel from game planning against this defense and certainly seeing the crossover tape with the offense that I feel really confident about the current talent level already in the building. Going into this season, I felt like this
very
place was a
authentic
sleeping
there
giant.
answer.
To be honest with you, I personally was more concerned about the Chicago Bears than I was anybody else in this division. Now, there's a number of reasons
shows you a
why
failure
I'm
on the
full,
coach.
All right,
Right there.
that's why I'm here. I'll get to the bottom of that, and we'll see if we can't get that corrected and cleaned up. But I was very
an advantage
encouraged
to
with
hiring
what
Tim
was already
too.
on the roster right here.
He's
And
planning to
like I
play
said
you,
before, this
knows your
division,
roster.
as hard as it is, really excited about competing here.
Was it just the changes that they made going into the offseason that scared you the most about the Bears? Was it Caleb Williams? Like, what was it about the Bears that they were the...
Well, personally, we struggled with that defense here for both games that we played them in 2023. Okay, so that was a huge deal. Was knowing that as much as I struggle staying up at night trying to attack this defense, I knew what that was capable of. And then seeing all the weapons that they have on offense here was really, really encouraging.
Coach
100%.
Dion Miller, ABC 7 Chicago, welcome. We're glad that you're here. You had this opportunity a year ago to be a head coach. You chose not to. Why are you more prepared now for this job than you were a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago, honestly, it was a similar situation in terms of being ejected from the playoffs prematurely, how we saw it, and
the playoff that when he was on with
as
Carmen,
my emotions
Carmen
got
and
the better of
Mirko.
me at that
Yeah,
point.
he said he wouldn't have.
He
quite
would
early
have
on
turned
that I
down
wanted
the
to come
Bears
back and
job
take another shot
last
at that
year
in Detroit.
I don't know if he's being
This
authentic in
year,
that answer.
I think
this
he is, man. I
offseason,
think it's
summer,
I think he's
I was
telling
able
the
to do a
truth.
lot more thinking and just throughout my head, my process.
No reason
what
for
it
him to
would look
lie
like
about it.
as the head coach.
Really?
And I just felt a lot more comfortable in terms of making that jump, regardless of how the season ended in Detroit.
Ben, here to the right.
Yep.
Pat, the designer, ESPN 1000. When your predecessors came in a very similar situation that you have, quarterback already in place, having to come in kind of midway through, excuse me, this rebuild being done. What is it that you can bring to the table that will
Midway
make this
through what
situation
rebuild?
end in a different
He
manner
going through?
than what we've seen in previous situations?
Listen, I
Oh
can't
my
speak
fucking
to
God.
previous coaches that were here. All I can tell you is this: every step along the way, I already alluded to it, I found a way to excel in each job. So I'm deeply committed to finding a way to make this work. My core values really rest on work ethic, selflessness, and poise. And I expect that to be embodied within this team.
Ben, over here again, Courtney Cronin, ESPN. You interviewed for a couple other jobs this cycle. What specifically about Chicago tipped the scales in the Bears' favor and you landing here?
The people, point blank.
Now
The
she
interview
doubles
process
back
was
on Caleb.
excellent
Watch.
for me. Answered all the questions I was
The
looking
people.
forward to, and not to mention the family atmosphere that they clearly outlined was a huge selling point as well.
Does having a quarterback, because there's some other
This
teams
is
that
it.
don't
Watch his
necessarily
face.
have their franchise guy, how heavy did that weigh specific to this opportunity for you?
Having a quarterback helps.
Ben over here, John Greenberg from The Athletic. You've been in a lot of different offenses. You worked for different kind of coaches. You have seemed to have a lot of different influences. in
1
what you
hour,
believe in. Like,
47.
how would you describe what your offense is going to be about? You know, Caleb's different than Jared Goff. What would you describe?
Pat, the designer here, E
What to
Network.
expect from this offense?
Your suit, where'd you get it?
Philosophically, what I believe in is similar to a blast from the past named John Shoup, and that is to make
When
the
you
same things
shoot,
look different,
shoot,
and different
bad
things look the
shoot,
same.
bad dude.
All right. We want the defense on their heels. We're always going to be attacking on offense. We believe in multiplicity, and so that's both formationally and conceptually. We're going to make things very challenging on the defense each and every week. We want the ability to morph, whether it's 50 runs in a game or 50 passes in a game, it does not matter. Balance to me is throughout the entire season, not necessarily within the game. And with that being said, those
a great
are
point.
those are
Yeah.
broad strokes of what this will look like.
Every game
It's
is
not
different.
going to look like it did in Detroit. We have a completely different personnel group than what we did in Detroit. So
You're also
this entire
playing
offense
outdoors
is going to be predicated on
all
the
the
guys
time.
that we have available. And that's going to take the springtime as well as training camp to hone in to what that's going to look like.
Ben over here. Josh Buck, Call the Clocker Sports. With all that you have on your plate offensively, how involved do you plan to be defensively, and do you foresee any sort of scheme change going forward?
Yeah, I think you have to, when you're the head coach, you have to be involved defensively. You have to be involved in special teams. That comes with the territory.
Nice.
And
coach.
so when you talk about last year, why I went back to Detroit, part of the reason was I had not fully comprehended how to make that all work. I'm at a much better space right now in terms of time management, how I can be involved with all three phases. The whole key to this is being able to tie them together, play complementary football. And so I will be heavily involved both defensively and special teams as much as offense. It's going to be critical that I hire people that are have some experience here in this league, and I can lean on and I can trust. Defensively, there are a number of guys I want to talk to, and really it'll be predicated on who we decide to go with, what that defense is going to look like.
See, I didn't know he had the interview guy. I thought you
Hey,
could
Ben,
name his
Kevin
own
Fishman from The
staff.
Athletic.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Ryan talked to us about how the quarterback development plan was going to be a big part of interviews and talking to coaches about what the plan is. How would you kind of characterize what like your vision would be for helping get a quarterback to where he needs to be?
I think it's time on task. It's trust. I've already talked to Caleb. We're going to have to spend a lot of time together. The play caller and the quarterback have to be integrated. The quarterback needs to be able to see the game through the play caller's eyes. In my opinion, that's the only way it works. And so we're going to spend a lot of time together this springtime. Certainly during training camp, we'll be able to see how much headway we can make. But there's already things I've talked to him about that I've noticed in his game that I want to address, and I want to go ahead and take a look at early and often here.
Ben, as you acknowledge the difference between a coordinator role and the head coaching duties, what gives you the greatest confidence in your leadership skills for this role?
Yeah, that's a great question. And here's what I would tell you is what gives me confidence is the players that I was just with and the respect level that they had for me, along with the people that I trusted in that building who would come up to me time and time again and assure me I'm ready. Chris Spielman, Mark Burnell, the people that were with me, saw me in front of the room, saw me in the meeting room. They believe in me. I believe in myself. I'm ready for this next challenge.
You used the word accountability a little bit ago. That was a word that the players used a lot this past season in this building. What does that look like to you? How do you define accountability under your watch?
Yeah, accountability is really, we're going to do what we say we're going to do, and we're going to be who we say we're going to be. And if we fall short of that standard, then there has to be consequences to that. That can look a number of different ways, but we are going to get to the point when we are winning here where our veteran players are going to take over the accountability portion of it. Until we get there, though, it's going to be on us as the coaching staff to outline what it should look like, what a Chicago Bear is going to look like, what that professional work ethic is going to look like.
That's well said.
Andy Seligman, AP. Do you plan to call plays on offense?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Why,
Along those
yes.
lines, what characteristics then are you going to be looking for in an offensive coordinator?
It's going to be critical for me to find somebody that can organize and structure and set the table, particularly early in the week. I've been around a number of guys that have called plays in the past, and I've seen the potential pitfalls that could arise as you're coaching the entire football team and you can't get to watching as much tape early in the week as you possibly could. So the offensive coordinator position is going to have to be somebody that not only I trust, but will be extremely detail oriented, organized, and structured to set the table, and also willing to work late nights.
Ben, Pat at the Chicago
late
Sun-Times
nights.
again. When we talked to Ryan Poles a couple weeks ago, he talked about, hey, if I'm going to bring in a guy who hasn't been a head coach before, there's a value in him bringing in experience or people who have head coaching experience as assistant coaches. Do you have a plan for that? And how do you know, kind of big picture, how do you kind of know what you don't know, when you move up a chair?
Yeah, there's no question that experience, whether it's coordinators or elsewhere within the coaching staff, will be important to me. And that's why I look forward here after we get through this initial madness, if you will, we can get going on the coaching staff. That's going to be a critical part of our success. I really believe that we're going to be able to find some great candidates out there that want to come to Chicago for a number of reasons, but they will be able to help guide and show me the way. The good news is this, is I'm not coming necessarily from a program that has solely won for the last 10 years. What I've seen in my time in the NFL, 7 years in Miami, 6 years in Detroit, is as much not good as I've seen good. And so there are a number of things that I've experienced and I've seen that should help throw the red flag up and help me avoid those potential pitfalls.
Ben, over to your right.
Really good answer.
Nicholas Moriano, the Bigs. One of the things expressed last year by the players that they wanted someone that can enforce discipline in their head coach. How have you enforced discipline in the past, and how can you implement that here?
Yeah, it looks a number of different ways. I think
consequences.
the most important thing, and I've already alluded to it a couple of times now, is clear communication and structure and expectation. And that's really what we're going to outline. We will set the standard in terms of what it looks like,
So
what it should look like,
unfortunately
what it shouldn't look like.
you allowed this
Anytime it's not
shitty coach
hitting that standard and that mark, it'll be us as on us as the coaching staff to call
that
guys
we had
out.
to hear had,
and,
oh, he's
repeat
so good in
offenders
the locker
have
room,
to
loves him.
Continue to be made an example of.
Shouldn't have to get to the point.
The stumble bum play that you hit the Bears
Did
with.
you like that one?
It was clever.
That was a Matt LaFleur special.
Was that the start of your job interview here, or were you just showing off?
I don't know about that.
Did you think about that at all, coaching that game here when the job was open at the time, that this was a chance for you to make a big impression?
I think every day in the NFL is a chance to make an impression. We are very blessed to have these jobs as coaches and as players. It's not something that I take lightly. And I think we have an obligation to each other and to the game to max ourselves out each and every day.
Yep. Hey, Ben.
Two more.
Over to your right. Josh
more.
Friedman with WGN TV. Congrats. And you said your mission statement is to win and win now. Do you believe this is a multi-year process, though, to get back to a playoff caliber team, or can that happen in 2025?
There's no question it can happen in 2025. It depends on how hard we're willing to work and how much we're willing to sacrifice, though.
Great
Hey, Ben,
answer
Adam Hogue
again.
again from CHGO. It was a little surprising that you took this job so fast without coming here first. Why did you feel so confident that you didn't need to see the building or see anybody face to face in person? And then once you got here, other than the people, because you've already spoken on that, what stood out to you the most?
Yeah, the information was given to me from any interested party, what it would look like. It was very.
All right, let me pause it there because this is critical. Talking about an interested party, and everybody saw what happened this, past week when the Rick Smith, who is his agent, that broke, and it actually happened last September when he went with Rick Smith, and he is based in Chicago, his agent. So according to Adam Schefter from the Adam Schefter podcast, the Chicago Bears have been talking to Rick Smith in Rick Smith's office the previous 2 to 3 weeks. So that tells you quite a bit.
Well, it said what you were saying. There's a lot of back channel stuff going on.
Yeah, go back and watch our show.
Go watch the show. And then I got to give you another shout out with no fear of some asshole saying Phil and Shay just loving each other, circle jerk. I'll throw them all out there like Eminem. But you had put me into a corner and you said, if I was interviewing you, or we were interviewing somebody for 3 hours on a Zoom, do you think you would get enough? And I said, oh shit, yeah, 3 hours. I would get enough.
And out of that 3 hours, there's another 21 hours in the day that you can talk to people that are representing this guy. So everybody's getting caught up in the numbers. And
so,
yeah, I mean,
no trouble in tampering.
No, because
it's just part of the process.
It's happening everywhere, guys. Just like
it's happening now.
Whatever the first day of the new league year, it's like March 13th or 14th every year. Just as for instance, when the Bears signed Julius Peppers, back then it used to start at midnight. Now it's like 4 p.m. East. But let's just say we get to the league year this year and Trey Smith hits free agency and the Chicago Bears make Trey Smith the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history 4 minutes into the new league year. Do you think that all those details were hammered out within 4 minutes? No, of course not. Were they hammered out in the tampering window leading up to it for a couple of days? No, absolutely not. That shit was done and solidified at the NFL Combine. That's where that stuff happens. It's all back channels. That's where the Chicago Bears laid the groundwork for the Carolina Panthers / Houston Texans trade down scenario 2 years ago. It's always back channels. Is it frowned upon? Sure it is. Does it happen anyway? Sure it does. Every single team. Multiple times a year, it happens. If my team wasn't doing it, then you're not doing your job. The Bears did it, and they got their guy.
Their number 1 of 1 guy.
Very detailed. It was thorough. It did not take me long, particularly with that first interview in the back of my head. I've already been in this city. I know what this city's about. It just simply did not take me a long time to decide that this is where I wanted to be. I wanted my family to be, and these were the people I wanted to be around. Walking in this building yesterday gave me goosebumps. I don't think many people understand how set up for success this place already is. This facility is outstanding. It is an A+ facility, and I look forward to meeting all the people within this facility and getting to work. Thank you, guys. We'll have Thank you.
There he is, the coach of your Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson, new head football coach. Gotta like everything he stands for. Again, just reiterating the authenticity, the defining of what accountability is, pulling it down to the roots, the studs, and building around the quarterback that he is and his talents are, getting it done correctly. That's the way you want to get it done. So that kid is comfortable and your whole team has an understanding of who the leader is. You as the head coach, this kid right here should be a leader next year. And hopefully they find more leaders that step up and lead to the extent where the coaches don't have to. Unreal.
I'm well.
Here
How's
he is.
everybody doing?
What is your feelings and your thoughts?
Nice cut.
on being your new head coach?
Extremely excited.
Insanely excited.
When we called, it was Kevin, George, Ryan, and Ted all on the phone, and
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Make sure.
Said all of them, and then once I got off the phone, I was driving on the highway, and I don't know if it was safe or not, but I gave out a loud yell and scream of just excitement.
Fuck you, bullets.
It brings a bunch of clarity to the off season. It brings a bunch of different things to the off season, and I'm really excited about obviously the Bears and this org and being able to make this happen and keep Ben Johnson as our coach for a long time.
Did he reach out to you Monday?
Yeah. We talked, and it was you can see the competitiveness in his eyes and the fire in his eyes, and it was really cool seeing that because it's actually the first time that we talked. I know after games, I tried to go find him and shake his hand at least after our games and things like that, and I think he ran off. I think he knew it was better not to probably shake my hand after the game, and
for political reasons, we don't want any shenanigans.
For this organization and
why are you going out of your way to shake his hand?
First of all, when Ben actually got in touch with you, how did you vet it out to make
sure
that you knew what you were talking about?
So first of all, I think it was great PR. The prank call. I think the prank call was great PR. But no, Yeah, so actually Ted and all of them, once we got off the phone, they sent me his number. And so I knew it was the right number at that time. And then he actually FaceTimed me, but I was driving, but he FaceTimed me and then sent me a picture of his face because he also heard of the prank call. But like I said, I think the prank call was great PR. I don't feel no ill will towards anything with that. So
those teenagers.
I'm super excited. Like I said, I think the aspects that he's going to bring to us and this org is going to be amazing, and many great things to come.
In addition to his competitive fire, what do you see that's compatible with you? That
Yeah.
now is
That's one of the most important things.
Listen
that fire,
closely.
That will
Here.
want to win. I think not only me, but being able to bring the accountability, being able to bring the discipline. Like you said, up
That's
there
a
on the
direct
podium.
shot at who used to be
Guys are
here.
stepping out of line,
100%.
not being in line, and not just with him and things like that. But with the team, and you're not doing the right things. You got to.
That's right, D. It's 4D chess by my guy right there.
You got to be put out on blast in
Thinking
front of the whole team because that shows the accountability. That shows the discipline that he talked about up there, and being consistent.
The Bears
with that
need it.
throughout,
It's a shame that it's that. That's
career
on
here
both.
and our career here.
On
It's
his
gonna be
boy
important.
Eberflus.
It starts with him. No, you're all good. It starts with him.
Horn
And,
ball.
that's a lot of people here. I get it. But it starts with Ben and the rest
that?
that he brings
Just
along.
watch Grody's
And
face
then
to the right.
figure out exactly
Watch,
what his rules are and
Just
how
watch his
everything
face.
goes
It's
and
the funniest
how it
thing.
needs to be run.
Some of his
It
expressions.
bleeds into the players, and then from there, it's
Brody
it's
is awesome.
we have to take it and run with it from there, and keep leaning on each other, keep growing and progressing, and being disciplined to each other and accountable to each other, because what he's been able to do over there with Detroit in that offense, you don't see an offense doing things that they were doing without somebody like Ben at the helm of it, just because there's so much time and so much effort and so much energy and passion that goes into it. That's great and all, but without the discipline and accountability, you don't get to do all those cool things like the stumble bum that he talked about with us, which he also brought up to me as soon as we talked, and I didn't truly appreciate it. And then things like somebody like Tom Brady being like, I've never seen that in my life, and he's been through so many games, so many opportunities and things like that he's had on the field and watching when they pitched it to the running back, and then they pitched it back to Amara for like a 20-yard, almost scored. I don't know how long the distance was, but you don't have cool creative things like that without somebody like him obviously being such a creative mind, and then being super disciplined, being super and holding all the guys accountable throughout the weeks and training camp and all these different things.
Ben talked about how anxious he is to get going with you, that he's already seeing things. What if he told you? Because it feels like he sounded like he's got the key to unlock you.
Yeah, I think the structure. So we talked about the structure. We talked about he's a no nonsense guy, but he'll always have my back, always have the support, always give me support. And so that was one of them, was the structure, the no nonsense, holding me accountable, and us two being on the same wavelength. Him being obviously all the way at the helm of it, and him being the head coach, and then me being the quarterback. Me being accountable, me being on the right time, right page.
That's right, Elmer.
On the field, and doing those things right, doing everything right. And then from there being able to hold everybody
accountability,
from my
vulnerability
space to and being
passion,
quarterback to him being head coach, and us being on the same wavelength, like I talked about, is really important, because then when you get to be able to be on the same wavelength with your OC / head coach now, or not OC but play caller and head coach, and the way that we go about our business,
truth to this?
The competitive fire that we have, the discipline that we have towards each other, the accountability that we have towards each other. That was another big part, was being able to, he said he's going to hold me accountable.
You'll be right, Jesse.
Hold me accountable for a multitude of things, and we talked about other things, and about my play, about what he's excited about, and what he's what he wants to change and correct, and if not change and correct, but just better.
One more, please. You talked about taking this job.
One more.
Yep.
What does that mean?
One more, please.
If somebody wanted to come here specifically because of you, your talent, your potential, and what they can do to develop you further.
Yeah, no, it's
Brody smiles.
I was trying to think, because he also
Brody.
said a bunch of other things, and it's also not just about me and things like that, but him
Grody
making it a
smiles
priority
again.
to be here and want to help and grow. And we've played versus each other in a way, and him seeing us on the field and all the talent that we have here, I think brings excitement to him, and that includes myself. But speaking about people that I came all the way from Florida. DJ came from Disneyland with his with his kids and things like that. I think
he's
Cole,
thinking
I don't know
about
exactly
Disney.
where Cole was. Rome was here,
Fucking
but
snowing in
showing us
Disney
today,
right now.
I think is a start, and it shows you the type of guys we have here, and something that he's excited about, and something he talked about is the family aspect of it, and being able to grow that aspect, be able to come closer, become tougher on each other, and then when we get out in the field, we show that.
Caleb, the last 12 months for you have been pretty wild.
Yeah, that's why I have this suit on and then this outfit, because I look like I was in the Matrix. That's how I felt last year.
Ratcher.
Yeah, Morpheus. Yeah.
Draft process, everything you went through your rookie year.
Grody
Now that you
smiles.
got the coach you know is going to be here. Probably,
Grody.
Wow.
Let's say it, yeah.
I guess that's the premise of my question. How confident are you that 2025 and beyond is going to go the way that you envision?
Yeah, obviously, you have these envisions, you have all these different things and goals and all of that, but you gotta first you have to have the right people, and then from there you got to go and you got to go put in the work. That's on and off the field, building, growing relationships, and then we get on the field. It's going out there and executing, and all those things that I talked about before about holding each other accountable, about doing the things the right way, and holding each other accountable. And that doesn't have to be public. It's within the locker room. It's within the coaches, of doing things the right way. I think it brings a lot of excitement for this year, up and coming, and then obviously finding ways to keep coach our coach. And obviously he has a part in that. But us going out there and doing things the right way, us holding each other accountable, and it's like I said before, it starts with him and then it bleeds into
shows
us. What the rules are going to be, how we're going to do this, how we're going to run.
Loves the coach.
This
There's
together.
loyalty.
At the end of
That's
the day,
how it should be.
Yes, he's coach.
You could
yes,
tell
we're
that on the
players,
St. Brown
but
podcast.
We're in
I
this
think
together
that they
and we're part of it
I
together,
think they
we want to be able to build and
knew
grow
a little bit
consistently
more
throughout
than
the
they were
years.
letting on.
Find ways to
I could
keep
see the
everybody here,
loyalty.
and that's obviously
You want
partly
coach
Ryan's
to
job.
be the coach. You don't
But,
want to let him
coach
down
and
when
us
he's fired.
players, throughout the years,
coach
and keeping key
our
players to be able
coach.
to keep building and growing this thing.
Along those lines,
Jason,
you
to
said
close
There
you
it
wanted to
is.
spend a lot of time with you. Do you view that as like, at least at the start, like, yes, offensive guru,
Take
or do you
pride
think
in
you
that.
right in there and give feedback?
I think part of it's going to be ways to grow for me, and then I think the other half, and for me, but also mainly for the team. That's the most important thing here, is me being able to grow, and like you said up there, touchdown and interception ratio, and quarterback play. It's changed over the years, and so being able to be in the right spot, being able to do the right things on the football field, and lead these guys the right way, and play well consistently for 17 plus games, is important. And that's what we'll talk about. I definitely think that's what we'll talk about, and making sure, that's set and the rules are set. And then from there, you get into the whole football aspect and dive into that, and obviously start doing things how they did, and not, specifically how they did, but just, super creative things that fits our scheme, and our players and our personnel and all these different things. So, I think we'll dive into that, and it starts with the base stuff and being able to master the base plan of this offense and this team. And then from there, you'll be able to grow.
Caleb. He said he's going to calibrate this thing around you, which is
He said one more like 6 questions ago.
I know. They said, fuck you.
I haven't been able to dive too deeply into that yet, but I think score, an insane amount of points. I think we have the same mindset. We sat down and talked and had the same mindset about scoring and all these different things. And, where, sportsmanship is at the end of the game when you shake hands and, be respectful in those ways. But when you're on the football field, you want the other teams to feel as if you embarrassed them. And so being able to go out there, and that's a collective thing, special teams, defense and obviously offense, being able to go out there and score points, hold teams to minimal points, and you know, when it's needed, you know, put the special teams on the field, and you know, they go out there and execute perfectly. And that's, you know, I think a full collective brand of football is you know,
This
what we're
guy
aspiring
with
to go for
glasses,
and
old
get.
school Mike.
And really excited about that opportunity. I know Ben is.
Really?
You know, it's you know, good things to come.
Yeah, Morpheus.
Last
quick
one.
question for
Scarf
you.
on.
What did you
Lion
think about Ben
scarf.
saying that he's not just going to come in and drop the Lions playbook at everybody's locker, that he's going to build an offense for you?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I've been with it feels the same way as someone like Lincoln, my past coach in college, in the sense of the way I see things, the way I throw this, the way I do this, the way I do that, wasn't the same as other guys. And it's the same for each player in the NFL. Not every player is Julio Jones, you know, but you're yourself. Not every player is Jared Goff, but you're yourself. And so that goes into that. And so being able to have a coach that understands that, and you know, wants to build it around me, and then the other personnel that we have on this team, wide receivers, special wide receivers that we have, you know, running backs, special running back, all these different aspects of the team and offense, you know, I think works in our favor, and works in his favor. And I think it's great that he knows that and understands that, because, you know, that brings another level of excitement, because now it's ours. It's not your previous offense. It's not, you know, what you did or anything like that. Obviously he'll throw in some wrinkles of things that, you know, he loves and works and things like that. I mean, he told me that it'll be my offense. He's going to, you know, build it around me and things like that, but also, you know, he's going to test me. He's going to challenge me in the off season and things like that to, you know, what's worked and what works in the NFL, and things that, you know, he may want me to get better at, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't fit me, if it doesn't work with me, then, you know, it won't
He
be
knows
there.
who he is.
And our
You just
personnel
need a
overall.
coach
So,
to
you know,
understand that.
brings another level of excitement, like I said before, because it's us. It's not, you know, when he was with Miami and their offense, it's not what he was, you know, when he was with Detroit and their offense. It's, you know, the Chicago Bears and our offense and our personnel's offense.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Go Bears.
Go Bears. Go Bears. It's very important to see how he knows who he is and wants somebody to understand that. He prayed probably daily to not have the anchor that was Shane Waldron and the chaos that Eberflus allowed in a locker room. And not one of those guys stepping up. And Cole Kmet, Tremaine Edmonds, all of these guys that have been veterans or they're in the locker room, none of them stepping up and setting a tone or helping the coach. Coach didn't earn the help. Complete, utter chaos ensued once losing sets in. And you know losing is a disease. Then you start losing the drive from all of your teammates, and you don't want your young quarterback to go through that. And that's where it's pathetic that Orlovsky and these guys take their shots without putting it into complete perspective like they should. What do you got now?
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring up everybody's favorite.
Here he is, Gentleman George.
And think I would need to address this subject, but Kevin and I are like-minded. But if he gave his hard-earned money to an ancestry website determined he and I are related, he should ask for his money back.
Grody like that.
Thank you
joke.
to all the
Mark,
candidates
what's going on there?
who honored us by expressing a desire to be part of the Bears. Thank you to the search committee, Ryan, Kevin, Jeff King, Matt Feinstein, Ted
And
Cruz.
he gives you an answer in this presser Phil,
Geist,
about what you wanted to hear.
for their thoroughness.
Oh,
their
I want a coach
dedication,
that wants to be here.
their sense of teamwork. Thank you to Kevin for his guidance, to Ryan for his leadership. He put together a thorough process. He kept us on point. He told us what he wanted the process to yield. And he was a calm presence throughout the process. And he had a great process and a great result. Thank you to Jessica and Ben.
Right,
and their
Mile
family
High.
for deciding to come to Chicago and being part of the Bears family. And thank you to Bears fans for their patience. It doesn't always happen that the most popular choice is the best choice, but I think in this case, we have that result. And I thought I saw Hub earlier here, the Helen Thomas of the Bears beat. Bigsy.
Hub's not here. Biggs isn't second.
Who's next? Cheryl?
Actually,
Cheryl.
I'm before Bigsy.
Beg your pardon.
Yeah, learn it.
What was your thoughts about Ben when you first heard about him? Of course, you saw him as an offensive coordinator, but what was specifically that you liked about him and the hire that you guys got?
He wanted to be here. He has a passion for this team and for the city. You heard him express how he took his family here on trips. His directness, his dedication, his innovation, his energy, his decisiveness. We liked everything about him.
George, you've been through a number of these since you took over as chairman. What was different about this hiring process to find that?
I think every time you go through the process, you learn something.
The amount of
Ryan had the
zeros
benefit
in the
of having
check.
gone through this process before and took those experiences, did his homework. So before we even started formal interviews, he had thoroughly vetted all of his candidates, had established what he was looking for.
Thoroughly vetted.
And he was great throughout the process.
George, during the Zoom interview with Ben, was there a moment or something that he said that particularly resonated with you that when you got up from that call, you felt strongly about?
The first words out of his mouth were, "I want this job." The last thing he said before we turned off the camera was, "Did I tell you that I want this job?" I was especially struck, and he referenced it in his comments, that this
George
is the
has a
toughest
lot
division
of
football.
experience in this.
He wants to be here. He wants to go up against Campbell, LaFleur, and O'Connell, and wants to succeed in the toughest environment possible. I was very impressed by that.
What was Monday? What was
Yeah.
Monday?
George, in the past year, you got the
Skips
quarterback
over
that
somebody.
everybody wanted, and
He's
you got
going
the
by
coach that everybody
seniority.
else wanted. Does this feel like a big moment for you
Oh.
for the Chicago Bears?
Well, now all we have to do is.
Did you see
whatever
Grody
everybody-
when he heard the
everybody wants,
question?
and that's win.
Rewind
You
it.
got the
Watch.
coach that everybody else wanted. Does this feel like a big moment for you for the Chicago Bears?
Well, now all we have to do is what everybody wants, and that's win.
George, what was your Monday like? And can you walk us through just you got an offer out, you're waiting to hear back, all that sort of stuff?
The last 2 days have been a bit of a blur, actually. Ryan put us through our paces, but he had a good process. I think he told you when we started.
Pat
that we
Finley
would
had a
proceed with
tie on
sense of
during the
urgency,
presser, by
but
the
we
way.
Wouldn't be rushed.
Yeah.
But
Took
he
it
also
off.
talked to us about being ready to pounce when necessary, and that's exactly what he did.
When the Lions lost, what went through your
I felt bad for them because, as Ben referenced, have nothing but respect and admiration for
For the
Sheila
Ford family.
and her family, the executive team at the Lions, great coaching staff, great group of players, and long-suffering fans. And speaking as a fan myself, I was rooting for him to go all the way.
George, what does it mean to you when
Go
when
ahead.
you see Cole and Caleb and DJ and Rome? They were in attendance today. Those are some of the leaders of this team. What excited to see that, I'm sure, to see those guys show up today.
Always great to see him, and especially grateful to them for their support of Coach Johnson.
Hey, George. This is a little bit of a follow-up to what Courtney was asking. Did you, from ownership's perspective, did you do anything discernibly different in this interview process, whether it was resources or allowing things to be different? Did it have to be that way?
I think in this situation, the best we can do and the best I can do is listen, offer support, guidance, the benefit of our experience.
He was involved in every interview, by the way.
and to offer support.
George
Ryan
was.
says, this is the guy we want. And I said, go get him.
George, we all know the bottom line is winning, and you've been through these days before. Do you feel closer to that with the pieces that are in place and now with Ben Johnson as head coach than you have the
No,
last few times
we
you've
don't.
stood here?
Come on.
We do.
Yeah.
We think so. We hope so. And now we just got to go out in the field and
What
prove
can
it.
he say to that?
When the Lions came here and obviously played there, and thanks.
Come on, D money.
Pretty big games. Were you focused in on Ben Johnson, knowing that he was going to be a top candidate?
I wouldn't say focused in. I mean, certainly aware of his accomplishments and the way he went about his business, but it wasn't like we were zeroed in on him. We hadn't even started the formal interview process at that point.
So when you run stumble bum, you weren't like, that was
It fooled me. I was like, hey, the quarterback's on the ground. I didn't see
My
the
son.
running back take a dive. So, my son Connor said, hey, that's a trick. You know, so, go ahead.
Perch, what does ready to pounce look like and entail as it relates to this specific situation?
Well, the NFL has rules in place now to, I think, slow down the process, and there was some of that. The windows that are open for various candidates, Matt Feinstein did a great job of keeping us up on what the rules were at any particular time in the process. But having gone through the process and having interviewed an extensive field of candidates, when Ben was clearly number one, and
Yeah,
Ryan
that
said-
extensive list
Ryan said, we need to go get him.
got them their number one
Gotta be ready to move.
selection the entire time.
I imagine that brings a different level of urgency.
Same list that everybody was screaming about.
Yeah, so that's part of it. It's a
Right.
competitive environment. So you want to take your time. You want to be thorough. You want to cover every base, but also you need to be ready to move when necessary.
George, to that end, the Bears aren't usually this aggressive in getting a candidate like him. And frankly,
Thank you.
They really haven't gotten a candidate as
Watch.
heralded as Ben Johnson, or a guy who likely commands an over-the-top salary like he does. Why was this different? Why at this point in time do
Grody.
you feel the need to be that aggressive as an organization to get the best guy and pay him and then get what the Bears, what you feel like the Bears needed?
Well, I don't agree with the premise of the question, but our job, as I said, is to offer support, guidance when necessary, resources when necessary. And once Ryan identified Ben as the guy, we needed to do what it took to get him to Chicago.
Among the head coaches that you have hired, how does Ben Johnson stand out to you as different among the other head coaches you hired?
I
they all have
can't.
their qualities, you know.
None of them
They
had
all have one, of
qualities,
course. They have
George.
different
You
ways
fucked
of
up.
wanting to go about it.
We find someone that can imitate this guy.
I don't really look at it in terms of
Seriously, that would be
any
great.
sort of ranking or anything like that.
What did you think?
I don't have some sort of ranking or anything like that. He has these pauses.
What do you think of the part owner of the Raiders being on the announce for the game? Brady. Tom Brady.
I don't care who they put on. When Joe Buck's on, I turn the sound down.
That wasn't
Not yet.
it.
Not yet.
Give George credit there.
George, you guys had Eddie George in on Sunday, and
Yes.
whether or not perception was okay. The Bears have satisfied the Rooney Rule; they can go hire their coach. Does the league need to take a look at the rule just to alter the perception of those interviews when they take place like that?
Well, as Kevin said, they're tweaking the rule every year. You saw more restrictive windows this year, as I said, trying to slow down the process generally, not just in terms of diversity. But I served on the diversity committee and yielded to Kevin for him to serve on the diversity committee. So we're well versed in these topics. We had a great conversation with Eddie. I think he's happy that he did it. I know we're happy that we did it.
On Jason, right here to you.
Yeah.
George, what was the philosophy behind interviewing such an extensive field of candidates, and what did you guys get from it?
Well, Ryan said we were going to cast a wide net.
Wide net?
So we wanted different backgrounds, different skill sets coming to the table. And again, I'm just very impressed with the process that Ryan laid out.
Loves the process. Just very impressed with the process.
Grody's not impressed.
We have to find someone that can imitate his voice and his pacing, how he talks.
I'll work on it.
You have the the showcase of I'm going to douche select based on seniority here, as if that matters in this kind of like.
Well, he did
speak to me. You have to. Who's been here the longest?
Well, you notice he did it in the end of year presser when he's like, "Can we just
wait,
have some quorum here, and not everybody jumping on top of each other,
Yeah.
go in order." And
That's not how.
that's just hokey ass George.
It's just so hokey. Like, step up to the times, George. Answer the questions.
Well, the funny part, and on the earlier show when I did the live reaction of the Ben Johnson presser, I played a clip, and to me, it carries weight. I've heard from some people that thought that I was, over dramatizing it, but the Bears head of security was in the background when Ben Johnson was in Hallis Hall for the first time speaking to everybody.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I will play the clip, and I zoom in. You see, the clip will play for about a second before you see him. And when he's talking about, how important the locker room is, and the people in the players in the locker room need to feel it from the people in Hallis Hall every day, that is the main focus. What he's telling you is, we're going to win with those people there.
They're the priority.
They're the priority.
Not the McCaskies.
Not the third cousin that's coming in for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Every month.
I like he's wearing a pin about his father here on his
But
shirt.
you see the Bears head of security, who has been around for a while and that's dealing every day with the players. When Ben Johnson says that and kind of puts everybody on alert that that's the way this is going to be every day, you can see his grin of, holy shit, it's about time we got somebody like that in here. And I'll play the clip just in case you haven't seen it. And I myself, who looks in the background at things like this, I think it's significant.
It's going to take all of us in this room. It's going to take this locker room. It's nothing more important than that locker room and us serving that locker room and those players. All right? They need to understand that, and they need to feel that from us every single day.
Wow. I like that.
I'm going to play it one more time because I think it is significant. You watch his face and his reaction, and I think it speaks volumes.
That's a far cry
Everybody,
from where we've been.
everybody in here matters, but those people in the locker room matter more because they're the ones that are going to make us a respected organization that has not won. We are going to win because of them.
You mean you're not going to charge Richard Dent for his dinner?
Just watch his face. You tell me he didn't give the look of, holy shit, I'm impressed. This dude's saying this in front
How
of
many
everybody.
SVPs are work in the locker room?
It's going to take all of us in this room. It's going to take this locker room. It's nothing more important than that locker room and us serving that locker room and those players. All right? They need to understand that, and they need to feel that from us every single day.
That's a message to all those fucking prickyas up there that hold their nose up, collect a paycheck, and completely take this shit for granted that this sport is a physical sport. They'll tell you that in front of the camera, but at the end of the day, the priority is themselves. And for a coach to come in here and set a standard of embracing the football aspect of it. I always told you the Bears they have an opportunity to be the greatest franchise if they just put football first. And guess what it starts with? The coach and the players, not Gentleman George, his cronies, and what kind of tabletop seats we're gonna have at the new fucking stadium.
Right. Yeah. And his name is John Tarpey. He's the head of Bears security. I got to just, shake his hand and talk to him for a couple of minutes when I was in Buffalo at the game with Riley. He was, I think it was Logan in there said that he had a bad interaction with him. That was probably because you were doing weird things to your Jack Sanborn blow up doll, Logan. So, but, yeah, I don't know.
Have to not treat people like shit. The security guard's going to be put on notice too. So he has not seen this as well. So that's where you go.
Yeah, either way. So, I mean, if you had a bad interaction, I'm just saying I think what I am saying stands, right, wrong, or indifferent, the way that he treated you. I think that holds weight, and I think that matters in there. I think that to me, it comes across that has not been a philosophy in those walls.
100%. Well, we heard all the stories, and we continue to see the out of control context of culture that has reamed the Bears' ass with the guys that they've hired and put on top. How many of them have snapped back at George? And what decisions they're possibly making, whether it be flying first, business class or lesser economy, a coach, a potential scout, or how you treat people in general, season ticket holders and the common fan, or the person asking questions at the presser, how you treat all of it. Who gets credentialed to ask you questions? You're already showing me there's a hierarchy just by your pretentious behavior here. That needs to stop. And
This field of can.
Oh, go ahead.
No, and I think that coach will come in here and put an end to that shit.
Grody's still not impressed.
That it's how thorough he was, how specific he was in communicating to us the traits that we were looking for to bring winning football back to Chicago.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
It doesn't, and I agree with Chubbs. I was around it. It's disgraceful. You should embrace the fan, not for picture opportunities. You should embrace the fan for their compassion, their travel, their just being there to support you. You should embrace them, not treat this. And the treatment of the fan goes all the way down to who you allow in the presser. Once you start limiting them, they're too hard on us. That guy can't ask the question. He's too hard on it. Oh, but this guy can. Come on. No, that's not okay.
Do you want the Kevin Warren?
Might as well.
And
3 out of 3. It's up to you though, because we got some super chats while you're loading it. Cygnus X1. Or is it Cygnus 11? $9.99. He didn't use one single acronym. To me, that's a major green flag. And even said he's going to construct his offense around the players' strengths. Let's fucking go. TTNL. Fuck yeah. Thank you, bro.
Throw another one up there.
Jammin'. We be jammin'. We be jammin'. $5. Coach Johnson said to the Bears players, get comfortable being uncomfortable. 100. And it looks like you're taking a shot there in the AVI because that's exactly what it's going to take to course correct this shit. So thank you for your super chat. You got it queued up. We got 20 more super chats. Go ahead with the
What
Kevin
was-
Warren.
What was the process like for you, and how well did you like how it ended up?
It was a perfect process. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think Ryan was very clear when we started this journey
Here's Grody again.
that a wide net would be cast, which it was. We would talk to many candidates. And one thing about this interview process, you learn so much, not only about the candidate, but about other coaches, their thought process, other people, in the industry. And so I thought it was a first-class process, and Ryan should be commended. And I'm grateful to George and the entire McCaskey family for their support. We want to win, and we want to win now.
Kevin, when I asked Ben about alignment, he said you're going to have to ask my bosses.
No.
What, how do you ensure that there is alignment there? And with Ryan specifically, does Ryan get a contract extension to line up with that?
Yeah, I think what you saw today, hopefully, was that we are a group that is aligned with George, with
He's got a
Ryan,
contract
with
extension.
Ben, with the players, with this building. And
Believe it.
and it is really special
Yes.
to work in an environment. I said it to Ben even during the interview process, and I've said it since. You really are blessed to have George and other members of the McCaskey family here every day. This is not
I don't agree
a
with
side
it.
business venture. This is their life.
You're not
This is their
blessed
history.
to
This
have
is their
them.
legacy.
What are they bringing
And
to
so
the
it's clear
table?
alignment. I'm looking forward to working with Ben and his staff. Ryan and I, as we've said, have had a great relationship.
Medal?
From day one, we don't agree on everything. George and I have had a great relationship. We don't agree on everything, and that's what makes a wonderful family. And so I'm looking forward to this journey. I'm excited today and going forward.
Contractually with Ryan, though, or are you going to extend him to get his?
Yeah, I mean, we as you know, we don't talk about
Why?
people's
Why is it
employment.
so?
As you can
Why
see,
is it
Ryan
so
is very comfortable. He's done an outstanding job, and I look forward to continually working with Ben and Ryan and George for many years in the future.
Kevin, can you take us behind the curtain of Sunday and Monday?
I don't understand what the secret is.
Done in the timely manner that you guys did.
I mean, the National Football League is really about talent. I think one thing that's critically important is the teams. You look at the teams.
I don't
that
think
win
he's going to
every
get one,
year,
Ben. He already
all the
has
way back
one.
to our Super Bowl team in St. Louis, but to now,
Dean believes he's got a
it's about talent.
No, and I
it's
would have
talent
fired
not only
him.
on the
4-year
field,
deal.
but
I
it's
would have
talent in the coaching
fired him
ranks,
at the
because
end of
when
the
you
season.
hire and have a talented
Said that
head
on here many
coach,
times.
they surround themselves with talented assistant coaches. One area in this business that's unique is the assistant coaches, because as you saw Ben during this press conference, he can't be everywhere. He's now responsible not only for the offense, for the defense, he's responsible for the special team. So he will have to have people who are aggressive, demanding, and this is a talent business. And so those 2 days, Sunday and Monday, to your question, were very busy. But I think
Yeah,
as you
very busy.
have seen,
Going
we
over the
used these
contract,
last
setting up
couple
the
weeks,
parameters.
as an opportunity to prepare and plan. So when this opportunity did arise, we were ready to go. And I think you saw it was seamless, it was flawless. We didn't do a lot of talking, and that's Georgia's style, that's Ryan's style, that's Ben's style, that's my style. That's our organizational style. It was about doing your homework, being prepared, because when these deals, just like any other deal, happen, you need to be prepared. And so to be able to have talked with all of our candidates, but especially with Ben, about people that he played with in North Carolina, people that he worked with at Boston College, at Miami, at Detroit. And one thing about it, it's one thing to interview a candidate, but it's another thing to interview the people who have worked
Did
with him,
Albert
'cause they're
Breer
around
put a
him
lot
every
of
day. So to
insight
talk to
into the
people that he's
interview?
coached, players, coaches that he
I didn't
has
read
coached
his
with,
article.
coaches that he coached with now,
I
other
haven't seen
administrators.
the article
One
either.
beautiful thing about the mosaic that the National Football League exhibits every single day, this is all woven into one beautiful tapestry. And so it's not hard to be able to talk with people and get a sense about what the man is. Ben, his priorities are his faith, his family.
His resume is
football,
what he did with
the
Detroit.
Chicago Bears. And as you can
Faith,
see today,
football,
he's
and the
proven in his
Chicago
work
Bears.
product, the way he handles his business, that this is going to be a very special journey as we go forward.
Kevin, to get your top candidate doesn't come cheap. He's top candidate this cycle. And certainly when he talks about experience, bringing in people who've done this before, there's going to be a significant cost with that. What assurances have you learned from the McCaskies about being willing to spend the resources it's going to take to build a winner with experienced coaches?
I think you saw it in this, all the way from George Hallis, when I passed that statute every morning, He was
This is
about
the shit I hate.
innovation. He was about talent. He was about winning. He was about doing it the right way. And now to Virginia McCaskey, Ed
about
McCaskey,
being
and to
cheap,
George and the entire McCaskey
fiscal.
family, this organization is built on history, tradition, and winning. And so the thing, and
it hasn't
one good
won,
thing
Kevin,
about it, and I joke with George that
in a
probably
long
if we
time.
did some study, we're probably related multiple generations ago. I'm fiscally conservative,
Yeah.
but I am also aggressive, and I also believe in being creative, and I also believe that you get what you pay for. And so this is a situation where we needed to make sure we got the number one candidate, and it's not about the number one candidate. It was the number one candidate for the Chicago Bears, and all the other financial issues. Those are things we just have to be smart, with our money and make good decisions. And when things work out well, no one ever talks about the finances. And so it's up to us to make sure that we hire good assistant coaches. We got a world-class head coach. We have world-class players, and we need to make sure that we honor our way to say thank you to George Halas and what he has built here in the McCaskey family is to be successful. And I think it's a testament for our players to be here today. You see how Ben and his family
mentioned
operate,
like
and
other
this is just a
owners
great
this
day
much.
for the Chicago
in
Bears.
just
I'm looking forward to move
the
forward
McCaskey
together.
family.
Along those lines, you said on a tough
Always.
day where you had to fire a head coach.
I never have a tough day.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that
They
you would
always
get the
do it.
this is the best place that people are going to be wanting to come here.
Most
And now you
coveted
have
job.
the number one
Is-
guy, at least as far as the candidate is concerned. Is that gratifying for you to see that come to fruition?
I always take a long-term approach. I don't say things just to say them, and I say things because I believe them. That's just how I've always, been trained and raised that way. And my theory is that we always have to find. We didn't need to hire 5 head coaches. We need to hire one, and
That, I
Ben is
agree.
one of one. He talks about Dan Campbell being a unicorn. He's a unicorn. I mean, you just look back his whole
You
career.
get a unicorn.
But also the
You get a
beautiful thing about
unicorn.
him is
How
that
many
it hasn't been a
unicorns can we
smooth road.
get?
I mean, he's gone through different,
Got a
issues to go on and
unicorn
walk on
quarterback,
in North Carolina and then get
got a
fired in Miami
unicorn
and then take
designer.
a quality control job in Detroit and work his way up. And so he has grit. He's smart. He's hardworking. He's innovative. He's curious. He's demanding. And then now we need to surround a great staff with him. We need to make sure our players are surrounded with accountability, but given the resources that they need to win. And then the thing that I really like that I see developing is that relationship between Ryan and Ben, because that's where it's won, is that general manager and that head coach need to be lockstep. Ben talked about it, and I still feel the
There's
same way I
your
felt about Ryan. A lot of other
proof right
people
there
say
that
that
he's
my
got a
mind has
contract
changed. It's never
extension.
changed. I have great
I didn't
respect and
hear it.
admiration for Ryan,
What did you say?
obviously for Ben. I'm thankful to George. And I still like that I see developing is that relationship between Ryan and Ben, because that's where it's won, is that general manager and that head coach need to be lockstep. Ben talked about it, and I still feel the same way I felt about Ryan. A lot of other people will say that my mind has changed. It's never changed. I have great respect and admiration.
A lot of
for
people
Ryan,
say it. How
obviously,
did you
for
hear
Ben.
it?
I'm thankful to George and his family. You can tell that we're all alpha individuals, type A individuals. We're excited about going to work.
I'm just
and
a fan.
Every
I'm not a
year stands on itself. You've seen it this year. There are teams in the playoffs who weren't in the playoffs last year. And what we have to do now is come together, work hard, keep each other accountable, and make sure that we honor the tradition of the Chicago Bears.
Kevin, have you monitored the way the fans have reacted to this hire?
I really don't.
I don't.
My monitor is my wife Greta, and my kids Perry
Greta,
and
let me
Powers.
tell you something.
And one good thing about it is they will always come to me if something is of concern.
There's
and
no
and they
need
know
to be fearful
my head is
of
always
announcing
down and making
someone
sure
has
that
a
we're
deal.
working diligently, and
Don't forget the
especially
finances.
this last month. And so I haven't had many conversations,
about
with
setting
them,
the
and they were just
course.
there to provide support. I was at a restaurant
Stop
the other
with the
night,
politics.
and someone sent me over a drink with a note. I
Leave the
saved
politics
it that I
out
have
of
in my drawer. I
football.
looked at it this morning that
You
says,
can do it with
"Please hire Ben
Arlington
Johnson."
State
And
guy
so
and girl that
actually,
did
he
this
saved it.
posted
I
some
was.
pictures of
I'm going
it
to give
on
it to
Twitter.
to Ben, and hopefully, if we do what we're supposed to do, one day
There's a
that note
woman.
will be framed on someone's wall. But
Hire
so I know
Ben.
there was sentiment and support, but it is always special when there's as much love by an organization and the people in the organization with the candidate. And you don't know till you know. But then when you sit down and you say, you know what, that this is really special. And I just felt that it was meant to be. I felt that it was Bashert. And I felt that we have a unique opportunity to do something special. But the key of it is it does not happen by a press conference. It does not happen by talking about it. It only happens by putting in the work. And we've got some individuals now who are hungry and thirsty. And I'm looking forward to working with Ben, Ryan, George, the entire Bears organization. And I'm looking forward to making sure that our fans get what that they should have and they deserve, and that is to be happy and to win a lot of football games.
Can you give us a stadium update?
Kevin, I
Right here.
wanted to ask you about the Rooney Rule.
Yes.
This is kind of fresh. You guys just went through this process. Is it working right now? I mean, where do you feel like the state of the Rooney Rule is right
Yeah,
now?
I mean, I think the Rooney Rule is working. I mean, it provides candidates from diverse backgrounds an opportunity to interview. And I believe just like a player needs repetitions, individuals need repetitions from an interview standpoint. The more you know, the better you do. And so obviously in our organization, starting with me and George's history, we don't have that issue of diversity and inclusion here, but it is working. And I think one good thing, I've been very pleased with Commissioner Goodell and Dacia Smith and the people at the league office. I'm on the diversity committee at the league. There have been tweaks every single year. And I'm sure these are things that we'll talk about, but I was pleased to see that diverse candidates have had an opportunity to interview. And it'll be interesting the rest of this hiring cycle, who hires, who. But I thought the process worked well this year.
Kevin, everybody always talks about wanting to see the Bears do things.
Last one.
We know that you assigned Ryan Poles to be the point person for this search. Can you describe what your specific role was in getting Ben Johnson here?
I mean, I look at this as a team merit effort. I'm here to
collaborate,
to lead. I'm here to support.
I'm
here to hopefully build a winning culture that has long-term positive ramifications. And also I'm here, I believe, whether it's my legal background, to be sometime the contrarian, to raise certain issues, just to make sure that we think through of all the different angles. But in this process, we were all on the same page. We interviewed a lot of different people. We learned a lot. We got better. And today is a day of excitement. But this truly is almost like getting your admission letter to law school. It doesn't make you a great lawyer. You got to go through the process. You got to go to class. You got to graduate. You got to pass the bar. You got to practice. And one good thing about this team of individuals, from George's leadership to Ryan to Ben to me, to our fan base, to our players, we're committed to doing everything the right way with integrity to make sure we build a winner here in Chicago. So I'm excited every day.
What did you do in the process, bro?
What's the restaurant?
Thank you all.
What's the restaurant?
All right, have a great day.
It's the
I didn't
Warren.
think I would need to address this.
It's the Warren restaurant opening.
Yeah.
Pat Finley.
Oh boy.
Gonna be baked stuffed shrimp.
Corn planter, $5 DDP. I warned you about calling people corn-related names. Bill, you are on
That
notice.
called someone a cornball.
I think so.
Shane?
Yeah. Cornball.
The designer.
We'll read about it later on Twitter, I'm sure. Mike 499, has George proven that he's hands off now that Kevin is here? They clearly trust Poles. Hopefully he got extended room to grow for our young GM. Mike seems like a very forgiving, patient person. Thank you for the 499. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Dalton Spain, thank you for clearing that up. The Bears always hire people with the same names. So we had a Matt and Ryan for 10 years. Yeah, that
He's
was
talking about Ted.
Yeah.
It
You
wasn't.
weren't alone on that one.
No, Bullets was number one culprit.
Yeah, and then I might have been
Flipping
Frank.
out.
Might have been Frank in the patron chat had it too.
Frankie Hacks.
And then Cars texted me later. He's like, "Did fucking Caleb say something about Ted Phillips being on the phone?" And I'm like, "Oh, for Christ's sake!"
Cars got pulled into it.
No, he's not on.
Eating.
He's not on Twitter anymore. But James Hunter, $5 DDP, wasn't disrespecting you on Campbell as an NFL coach. Just thought he still has a lot to learn.
All right.
Don't know where that came from.
Campbell.
Don Wanderley, $4.99. The national media has concluded Caleb is a bust. That's
There you
what
go.
They're
Pretty
morons.
soon. That's why
Our guy Bill Wagner. It feels so good to
Billy.
celebrate Ben Johnson together. Total game changer. I'm already annoying people by answering every question they ask me with, what would Ben Johnson do? We finally got a coach that's smarter than us. P.S. Get well, Shane. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
hope I
you
get
so
well
much,
too.
Bill Wagner. Billy. Bill.
Benjamin Hooper. What do you guys think of Dennis Allen? I'm intrigued by it. I think he's a classic case of not a head coach, but a high end D coordinator. And I think that you're going to see more aggressiveness out of him. Probably not as much as I would like overall. I'll be honest. I just love guys with the relentless attitude. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to give up a big play. I like watching those DCs that are just like, you know what? We're coming for you, and we're coming for you again next down. That's the way that I love it. We haven't unfortunately had that in a very long time in Chicago, but just don't give up any more 3rd and 19s on a consistent basis, and I'll be happy.
3rd and
Oh my God.
17.
Did you have any
Shallow
confidence in
cross.
3rd and 7+? I mean, honestly.
Shallow cross to Jones for fucking 19 yards and no one wraps.
And you knew if it was 4th and 1, it was going for 14, or they wouldn't cover the back out of the, the back in the flat, or the fucking
Tight
fullback.
end running a flag is wide open.
Yeah. James Hunter, $10. Big props, TTNL. Great show. Ivan needs a raise, guys. Is a beast now. Really miss Angelo, though. Love you too, Cars. Then to Shane and Phil. Congrats, guys. Thanks, James.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
James.
Cars is
Angelo
in-
agrees with you.
Yeah. Cars is in the throes of home construction, so he has had to bounce out of the house for a little while, or we would probably be doing a Cars Keys tomorrow night. So, but stay tuned. Maybe next week. We will see. Chris R. $1.99 based on him saying he's looking for an offensive line coach. See you, Simo. Yeah, I agree there. That would be the ultimate kick in the balls if they said, "Oh, we're gonna maintain with that." Trip Lang, $4.99. TTNL is right 95% of the time, and I am only getting excited about something if TTNL approves it. Thanks, guys, for being you. I
Thanks,
respect
Trip.
you guys a lot.
I appreciate that.
Well, we love you too.
I agree. 95%.
Yeah, and then Googly Bear.
Googly.
Great Googly Moogly, $5. Just like Ditka, they both want to be here. Johnson was hired on the same day as Ditka, January 20th.
January 20th.
Yeah, Super Bowl, Super Bears, right?
Well, it happened a hell of a lot faster than I thought, than even you thought. They got their guy.
I said Wednesday. You told me
said
that I was a
Wednesday.
fucking fool. It's going to be like 6 more weeks.
No, I said next week.
You said I'm taking a fucking nap. Nothing's
Take a
happening.
nap.
You know
I
it's
got
bad when
that.
I call Phil and it goes to voicemail and I just automatically redial it again. That's when he's like, "Oh fuck, I better take this." And it sounded like, "Hello," and I'm like, "You ready for what?" Somebody's hired a head coach. What? Who? Ben Johnson. Are you shitting me? Nope. Gotta go. All right. I was trying to get some sleep. And then I think 11 minutes later, we were live.
We were live. I pushed through it. Even Steph was like, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I pushed through it. We got through it.
Yeah, we did.
Fuck you, Bullets.
Fuck you, Bullets.
I was given the opportunity. I found him.
Well, we hope you learn from your mistakes. That's part of growing up. And I always believe in second chances. And so does Shane. I think they're very important. Just like it is with owning when you're wrong, or you do something stupid, or you draft a 3rd round receiver that's not good, and you fail to trade him when you have an opportunity because you knew he wasn't good. You still do it. Hopefully those things get fixed.
Just call us on draft night. We'll help you out.
We can help you out. Speaking of draft night, if you're not a patron, now's the time to jump in.
We're getting closer.
We are getting closer to where is it? There it is. Become a patron right above us. TheTapeNeverLies.com.
What are we getting closer
breaking
to?
down to Draft Mob.
Can you imagine?
Breaking down the tape for
Draft
truth.
Mob. It's that time of year.
Yes, it is.
Already. Man.
There it is.
What does it sound like?
Discipline, passion, determination, perseverance, those things in a player are going to be critical. Once we identify those players that fit our culture, we're going to label them with a bear on their tag, and they're going to stand out like a sore thumb because those are the type of players we want to set the foundation here.
You sure about that? I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. Forget about it.
There it is.
Gonna have to fix the Eberflus.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get him out of there. And if we don't, everybody will be like,
What?
Why is he in there?
oh my God. Yep.
We'll be breaking down the draft.
Then let me do what I hired to do.
We're going to start up with the offensive lineman in this draft. I saw an earlier question about Will Campbell. I believe he's a tackle.
Yeah, I think he can play tackle.
These
too.
people that just want to push people inside.
You always try them outside first.
Always.
Then you can go inside.
We'll be breaking down Will Campbell.
Anybody that tells you that he's only a guard, Phil.
Get him out. Get them out. They don't know what they're doing. They just want to be cautious, small-minded. We will be breaking that down as well. Free agency and all of the coaches. We're going to kick it off. I'm going to take a little dive into what makes Coach Ben Johnson special. I'm going to show you some of his all 22 tape and what he does and why it's so important that we see it. Then we'll be jumping into Draft Mob in the next couple weeks in February. And then we'll be on the precipice of free agency in March. That's how quick it happens. So do yourself a favor, become a patron. We're always active. We have a live chat in the app. Some of our patrons don't even know. You can go into the app and go into the live chat. And me and Shane, I wish she was able to differentiate me and you. But I always have to like put DDP. You're muted, so I can't hear you.
My bad. I wish I can put in a request for that and see if they honor it. But I wish they would have a little bit more options in the chat in terms of people being able to post some different things and even in the replies and whatever like that. But where was that one? Well, there's this right here.
What?
Our guy Logan. He's alerting us. See what that is?
It's the 3-hour bell.
3 hour.
Get out of here. He's right.
It is. But
Time to go. The Bears have a coach. Thank you, Shane, for jumping on earlier today.
Yeah.
Doing a live reaction to the presser. Then you did it again tonight.
We did it again. Go
Shout
become
out
a
to all.
patron.
Shout out to all the super chats. Be a patron. Anything else?
Yes.
Shout out to my guy Jack.
Yeah.
Who's putting all the YouTube shorts out there.
No copyright, Jack. Right, Jack? Thank you, sir.